Hello there, gang. How's everybody doing? How's it going? Maybe I should just shrink myself. It might be easier. Okay, let's see if I can cover more of myself on the screen. There we go. That should do the trick. That should do the trick. Okay, so first things first, let's recap from yesterday. Let us recap from yesterday. All right. Let's see where I left off. My cat is whining in the background. Okay. Let's see. Where did we leave off yesterday? Happened. That's not really why the ghosting happened. Is my voice okay? Real question, gang. Real questions, gang. Is my voice that low when I'm talking? Because like when I'm listening to the audio here, it sounds really low. I'm curious if it's like, is it me? Is it loud for you guys? You're getting banned. Wasting my fucking time. Someone must have pissed me off. Someone pissed me off. Oh, sincerity is disconnected from acting. I haven't been in and around acting many different times, and seeing Chizuru acting like a cat in the middle of a brightly lit room while some people watch intently from chairs doesn't throw me at all. It's practically mundane in the acting world. These people are as goofy and silly as they look at the beginning of the series. We can see clearly how flawed and unhaloed she truly is now. However, in the end, Glizabella is the one who is chosen to enter the Hiveside lair. Oh yeah, the cat thing that we were listening to. It's the ineffable memories and not what you can plainly see that gets her to the end. Next time, initial load is another odd term. It's a medical term. Okay. It might just be that you hear your voices differently, videos versus your own ears. Well, no, I can adjust my audio from my end. I just don't know how you guys hear me. So for me, the audio in my ears is lower than the audio that you hear. For me, it's lower. So I don't know if I sound if my voice is lower for you guys or if it's higher for you guys. I can't tell. Because I can adjust it at will. So I'm just not sure. That's why. Term about the first injection you give for treatment, like antibiotics, being at a higher concentration than the following injection so that the body concentration of the medicine can reach the critical level. The way people are talking about Kazuya and what Kazuya says back then was like identical to what Ruka's doing right now. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. So I just like, I can hear you fine. Wrote this whole thing. What does Kazuya... Okay, we'll come back to this later. So Jaws also apparently wrote something, so we can read that a little later too. The chapter comes out in like 2 days, so that's nice. That works for us. Well, look at this cup my mom got me when I first started YouTube. It's so goofy. It's hilariously cute and silly and dumb. Oh, also check out the poster behind me. I got that for the event from Reiji's hometown. So Reiji's hometown had a special event in the background. Had a special event for Rent a Girlfriend, if you guys remember. And this is one of the posters that they sold. So I ended up finding it on Buyee and I purchased it and I just put it up recently. It fits perfectly. In contrast, I moved. Oh, why's the camera like that? Actually. There we go. Camera fixed. I moved these up here. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. They kind of fit perfectly together there. Other stuff I'll show you guys later, but yeah, just want to share that really quick. That seems to be like how we're starting our videos now. go. Yeah. Anything from Verkez? I'll look at it. Where did you get the cup from? Can you order it? My mom bought that for me. I don't know where she got it. Yeah, my mom bought this for me. I don't know where she got it. It's cute. She's very supportive. Okay, she's very supportive. I made my tea way too sweet. Okay, so yeah, we talked about this with cats. He talked about cats. The what was it? The reference to cats. That's like because I've never seen cats. All I know is about it is from indirectly. Um, he was talking about what was it? Where did we talk about the cats thing and like how like all the characters are kind of like cats where they all like got horny and shit. And the story doesn't make sense. Remember we were saying that too, where it's like when we were first reading about cats, the events of cats don't make sense. It's like there's no plot. So it's the events right now in the manga seemingly don't make sense in a similar way as cats technically doesn't make any sense. So that's something Jojo over here talked about. I'm just trying to see like what cats took information from, or sorry, they reference poems that something Elliot wrote for his kid. Okay. Created by Andrew Lloyd Webber, with the lyrics sometimes verbatim pulled from a series of poems from T.S. Eliot for his granddaughter. The introduction of a connection to a T.S. Eliot is incredibly wild to me. T.S. Eliot is probably one of the top 5 most important writers in the past couple of centuries. The cat that Chizuru might be paralleling sings a song called Memory, which, by the way, what has been a big thing that's going on in the story right now. Do you guys remember what we were talking about, like right when the separation started? Right, we talked about something very particular right when the separation started. Memories, characters forgetting each other. They don't remember who they are, right? They're literally forgetting each other, right? Kazuya doesn't remember Chizuru accurately, right? It's kind of like memory loss, which is very fitting because the story has a time travel motif. So the characters literally don't remember and don't see things accurately. So if this is a reference to Cat and the song the Cat that Chizuru might be playing is Memory or singing might be Memory, it would be quite interesting considering that's the song that wins and Kazuya needs to remember. There are things the characters are not remembering, right? Everybody in the story is forgetting things. They're not remembering certain things. Um, Full Moon of Love was created as a kind of horny induced madness in all the characters, and we were basically following the story, not for the plot, but to see how each heroine will display themselves in that state. Okay. Isn't that interesting? What's going on in the story right now? Ruka's horny as fuck. Sumi's horny as fuck. Mommy's horny as fuck. And Chizuru's horny as fuck. And Kazuya is the horniest of them all. Kazuya is the horniest of them all. Right? Everybody's horny. Right? So that matches this idea well. Again, we don't know for 100% fact if this is in fact cats, right? There's a lot of hints that it's cats. There's a lot of like very heavy hints that it is cats, but we don't know for a fact if it is indeed cats. Um, let's see what else was there. Yeah, we talked about the Hollow Man, the T.S. Eliot reference, the Hollow Man. The poem ends with this warning, not with a bang, but with a whimper, which I think is very thematically fitting because Kazuya's whole thing is that right now he's trying to, do a big, super big gesture, and yet everything has been like going underneath the radar, right? So that is a thing to talk about. Oh, jeez. Oh, no, jeez. Did Varicus write anything? Let's go with Varicus. There's a lot here. Okay, Varicus did write something. Any Disney references in Rent a Girlfriend? Yes. Pinocchio is referenced, Bambi is referenced, Nemo's technically now. Nemo wasn't initially, but right, Nemo is made by DreamWorks, or was it Disney? But either way, Disney bought DreamWorks. That doesn't count. Whatever. No, there are references. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. Bambi is an easy one. But yeah, it's Pixar. Wait. No, yeah, no. So Disney bought fuck, I messed it up. Disney bought Pixar, not DreamWorks. DreamWorks just stole their own thing. But that was before. We have a Final Fantasy reference in Rent a Girlfriend, right? We do? We do? Where? I'd love to see it. Where? I'd love to see it. I've never seen a Final Fantasy reference, but Reggie has played Final Fantasy. I know for a fact he posted about playing Shadowbringers, Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers, which is like the 3rd expansion on his Twitter, like way back when. So I know at the very least he's played 14, which was a big hit at the time. So it's not really shocking. But I don't know if he's ever referenced Final Fantasy in Rent a Girlfriend. I don't think so. He's referenced Street Fighter. There's the flashback with Kibe in chapter 226, I believe. Kibe is playing Street Fighter. He's in the arcades and he's playing Street Fighter. But I don't know about Final Fantasy. Varicus didn't write a whole lot. Okay, maybe we can start with what Jaws wrote. I guess we can start with what Jaws wrote. This is the heavy topic. Anywho, I bet some of you will agree with him. I already had talked to him before he wrote this, and I already didn't agree with a lot of what he said, but I'm open to rating it. You know, like I don't mind. Like I do feel like I can understand where people are coming from. You know, if like so this is my stance personally as someone who has dealt with sexual assault and experienced sexual assault. I think the chapter's handling it well. Yeah, I'm sharing something kind of private on social media, but I've personally experienced it. And I've actually stopped and dealt with a situation with sexual assault. So this is just from personal experience. I think it's being handled well. Feel free to disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. I'm not invalidating your experience and what you have been through, but this is purely me. And as someone who's been through that and has seen that, to me, the chapter is handled well. However, this is a very sensitive topic. This is a sensitive topic that not everyone is comfortable with. And I can understand why, like, people wouldn't be comfortable talking or dealing with this kind of topic. You know, like maybe you didn't know what you were jumping into. You're reading a shonen rom-com. I didn't expect to see sexual assault, you know? So for those reasons, I can't be too upset at someone for feeling uncomfortable with these chapters and what it depicts and how it goes about depicting them, because it's not, I'm sorry to hear that, Johan. It's in the past, dude. I don't give a shit. It's in the past, dude. I've long since moved on. I luckily for me, I have the power of ADHDs, and I learned how to decompartmentalize my emotions. So like it doesn't haunt me. If anything, I just feel unending rage when I see it. But other than that, I don't know. I've found a way to deal with it. So it's okay. It's okay. I'm not saying this to get pity. Okay. I don't need pity. Like, no offense or anything. I just don't need pity. Okay. I'm fine. I'm perfectly functional, and the people who you got therapy, ironically, not for that. It's like that, like, bled into the reason I went into therapy. That was one of the sources, but it's like a source that was like long in the past, you know? So not quite. It wasn't for that. It was for something else, but it just happened to be connected, you know? Anywho, let's just read this. I put aside writing a new mommy analysis specifically to write this because I believe that chapter 404 and 424 are poorly written portrayals of sexual assault, and they are unfortunately the worst chapters in the manga because of it. My TLDR for people that don't want to read this whole post is that this isn't even that long. My shit's longer than this. Damn, bro, our attention span is fucking dead. I can relate as someone who has PTSD. Oh, dude, I lived through a war. I have PTSD. So no, I get it. My TLDR for people that don't want to read this whole post is that both these chapters do not handle the topic with enough seriousness and weight that a writer needs to when bringing up a topic like this, especially a story that had nothing close to this to begin with. Well, I don't so sorry, no offense or anything. I disagree with that. The the birthday chapter is straight up assault. The birthday chapter is straight up assault. And it fuels Kazuya's guilt so significantly that he starts the movie arc because he felt powerless. The entire reason the movie arc started was because Kazuya felt powerless in his own life. And that scene is sexual assault. And it's framed as sexual assault, and many people view it as sexual assault. Like yeah, it wasn't to this extent. Mind you, she's not touching his goddamn crotch. Fair enough. But that is sexual assault. That was there. And if you're willing, we can also talk directly about the live action adaptation of the manga, which has a scene where Chizuru is almost sexually assaulted. So I don't know about that. I don't know. That's something I don't know if I fully agree with that, because that was always kind of in there. There was like literally chapter 2, Kazuya is on top of Chizuru and they're hiding and he almost kisses her. And he almost gives in to his desires. Now, that didn't happen, mind you. It was framed comedically and nothing happened and she kicked him and pushed him off, but do you see how that could be almost interpreted as sexual assault because she didn't consent to anything? See what I mean? So you could technically say it's been there since chapter 2. Yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen, mind you, but you can't say this wasn't there. There are many instances of it being there. Now, it didn't fully happen, mind you, unless we're talking about the birthday party or before Hawaiians, where I could arguably say it absolutely happened. If we're talking about abuse, abuse is very much depicted in Hawaiians. Mommy abuses and gaslights the ever-living shit out of Chizuru. And while sexual assault aren't necessarily quite the same thing, like sexual assault is definitely a lot more degrading. And it's I don't know, it feels a little more sensitive, ironically enough, than abuse. It's still abuse. And you very much see that abuse in Hawaiians and how Chizuru is literally publicly humiliated. Like, Chizuru and Kazuya are publicly humiliated in Hawaiians, and they're literally abused. So I don't know. I think this manga has always dealt with marginalized people, invisible people, and people who are abused and victims. And Mommy's entire backstory is literally about being a victim. And I would argue Jaws probably think I'm not gonna just assume, but I'm gonna assume. Okay, I'm not gonna assume, but I'm gonna assume that Jaws probably thinks Mommy's backstory is very well handled. And so I don't know. I don't know about that. This manga has always dealt with these uncomfortable topics. And it has handled it quite well in the past. So to me, the fact that it's depicting this now in a very particular way when it has handled some of this subject matter well in the past, tells me that there's a reason it's being depicted this way. And once I accept that there is a reason that this is depicted this way, I can start seeing these chapters a little bit differently. That's kind of my stance, and I know I haven't even read this yet. That's just kind of my stance. Is like I just accepted that, like, okay, there's a reason Reishi's depicting it this way. Kazuya has always been framed as a comedic character, and instead he's being turned into a joke here. It feels tasteless and demeaning by design because it's literally demeaning his character. He is a victim who doesn't view himself as a victim, so therefore he is blaming himself for everything. I think that is being handled quite well. Another instance I saw of this, where I think I've talked about this in the past here, when we were reading, or sorry, not reading, when I mentioned How Do We Relationship, there is a scene that there's a scene or two scenes that are pretty close to sexual assault. And the thing is like it is and it isn't. And the scene treats it with the nuance that it has. But if you go to most people who read those chapters, they don't see that nuance at all. They purely blame one side, instead of just seeing how toxic it is for both people, how it's just a very, very unhealthy situation, and it's both people. In Ruka's case, Ruka is absolutely sexually assaulting Kazuya, but it is also a toxic relationship that's unhealthy and has no balance, and it escalated to this point for a reason. And it's not just purely Ruka. Part of it is Kazuya, and I think Reiji is trying to address that like what Ruka's doing is absolutely fucking wrong, but a part of it is Kazuya. The way Reiji writes this, it's written in a way meant to mostly be the Japanese side rather than international. Yes, Reiji very much criticizes Japanese culture. And he's trying to talk about a topic that's universal by showing it through a Japanese lens to criticize said Japanese lens. And I think that's very intentional. I do also have to point out there's probably a part where the editor probably wants him to make it more comedic and tone it down. And so there's probably some level of compromise happening here where Reiji's somewhat compromising with his editor to some degree to not like utterly destroy Ruka's character, at least in the editor's eyes. I think Reiji's doing a good job. He's very much questioning himself. You can kind of tell. He's very much like questioning is this the right direction? I think it is. I think addressing what Ruka has done is the right direction, and it doesn't ruin her character. But I can see why like something like this chapter would make the editor somewhat hesitant, Let's continue. So sorry. Didn't mean to stop midway. Let's see. Enough seriousness and weight the writer needs to bring up brining? Is that supposed to be bringing up a topic like this, especially in a story that had nothing close to this to begin with? Again, we already disagreed on that. I had my points where I believe there are these things in there. To give an idea about how I'm structuring this, I have 4 main points that contribute to whether a depiction of sexual assault is well written or poorly written, that I will use 2 examples of good depictions of sexual assault in a series that did not focus on the topic as a whole and assesses whether Kanokari meets those standards. Okay, don't hate me for this, and feel free to disagree. I've always been very, 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 very adamantly against this idea of the standards of how something should be written. Because writing is subjective. Now, yes, there is an objective element to writing, absolutely. I'm not going to pretend like there isn't. I've said in the past there isn't. I do think there is. There is an objective-ish element to writing and how it is conveyed to readers and stuff, or watchers or viewers or whatever the fuck we want to call us. But I don't know. I think if we're too rigid about how we approach things, it doesn't capture it very well. I think the way this is my personal stance. I think the way Kazi is being demeaned as a person in these chapters, the way it's turning it into a fucking joke, it's like capturing sexual assault perfectly. The way it's so goddamn demeaning. It's it's capturing it perfectly. It feels tasteless because there is no taste with sexual assault. It's demeaning. It's about a power dynamic. It's all about control. It's a person making you feel like a piece of crap in your own body, in your own home. It's it's kind of hard to describe how fucked up it is. And one thing I've never really liked when it comes to how sexual assault is depicted in media is how, and that's gonna sound weird, is like it's always super ooper duper serious and it's immediately spelled out for you because the writers are too afraid to freak out people. When I think it's okay to be uncomfortable with it without like just like sticking with the scene too long and making you freaked out in like oh look, I'm just gonna make this sex scene just last forever. That's not quite how Reiji does it. Reiji makes it uncomfortable intentionally, but not quite this way. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. Again, this is a very weird topic, and I'm trying to watch my words carefully, specifically because I don't want to freak people out. But yeah, I have four main points. Blah 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 blah. For spoilers' sake, anyone who doesn't want to read the examples, I'll start off with Kanokari first. Feel free to disagree, but I believe amounts to all written portrayal of sexual assault. This is what I believe makes a good standard. This is not about whether it makes sense in a story or not. This is about how it is overly written or drawn. Lastly, an obvious trigger warning because the whole point is about sexual assault and spoilers for both the comic Invincible and the game Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, as those will be examples I use. I've played Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes and I've read Invincible, so okay. I'm gonna be real though. The way Invincible handles it is just kind of okay. I'm gonna be real though. Invincible like barely focuses on it. I don't know if that's a great example. Is Invincible going to be a bad example of sexual assault? The way Invincible handles it is just kind of okay. Like it's like barely there. It's like kind of there. You know, there's some like subtlety to it, but and you know, eventually like there's some stuff about it. I don't know if you guys want to get spoiled, but the way Invincible handles sexual assault is kind of just okay. Ground Zeroes is a little more complicated. Ground Zeroes is like kind of fucked up and a little more complicated. Let's just read for now. My 4 points that I will be using to assess if a depiction of sexual assault were written and not as follows. Sexualization. The point is about how the sexual assault is directly shown to the audience in a way that is sexualized and eroticized, and in my opinion is most important point. In a good portrayal of sexual, there's these 0 instances of the creator trying to make it arousing or erotic in any way. The situation might be inherently sexual, but there are many, many ways you can depict something and not make it fan service. While I agree with you, there is a point to why this is being shown this way in these chapters. And I talked about this in the previous stream. There is a reason why this is happening. A huge portion of what's going on with Kazuya is that he is incredibly horny and he is locking this shit down and he wants to let it out and he won't. And Reiji built it up for some time. Reiji really, really built it up for some fucking time that Kazuya is incredibly horny and he hates his sexual desires and he won't let them out and he's terrified to let them out with Chizuru. And Ruka is taking advantage of that. So it being erotic is the point. It is literally leveraging the thing Kazuya is like physically craving for against him. Right? It's literally leveraging the craving of that against him. And it is using that to you as the readers to make you look past that. You have to look past that. It's literally challenging you to not be horny, to see this scene for what it is. And I talked about this like very concisely where the scene where Ruka is like behind Kazuya, the little girl behind Kazuya touching his crotch, and Kazuya is like double her size, and the scene is literally asking you, who's the victim? Right? But everybody just finds it horny and erotic and really sexy. And the fact that Ruka is his girlfriend leverages that against you. So much of the scene is almost like a flip of how like sexual assault is meant to be depicted. The whole scene is like a flip of how sexual assault is meant to be depicted. It's intentionally not looking like sexual assault on purpose. It's not looking like sexual assault on purpose, not because Reiji's avoiding the idea of sexual assault because he doesn't want to frame Ruka poorly. Rather, it's literally the opposite. It's doing it that way so that it's challenging your perception of what the fuck is happening. And if you don't believe that perception is a whole thing, just look at the characters. Just look at the arc in Odaiba. You don't know what the fuck's Chizuru's thinking. Right? In the arc in Odaiba, you have no clue what the fuck Chizuru's thinking. You don't know what the fuck's going through her head. Your perception that you're getting this from Kazuya's POV is completely blinding you. Flip that up on Ruka. Literally just take that and flip it on Ruka. You don't know what the fuck Ruka's thinking. You see how the way Ruka perceives this scenario is completely different from what's actually happening. It's totally different. The way she sees the scene is not the same at all. Here, one sec. Let me put something here, just so, because I noticed my roommate. I don't want him to be on camera, just if it doesn't make him uncomfortable. There we go. I just put the green screen there, if you're wondering. That's why it's all white. I just put the green screen there. Okay. So yeah, let's continue. There should be zero instance of creator trying to make it arousing or erotic in any way. In this way, it works, though. Specifically because the whole point is the eroticism. And Reiji, in writing chapter 218, is literally showing how eroticism demeans love. What Ruka is doing is demeaning to her love. And so it being erotic is the point. I get it. You're not going to agree with that. I get it. You're not going to agree with that. That's fine. But not all sexual assault is the same. Not all sexual assault is the same, right? This one is sort of self-explanatory. Is the sexual assault portrayed in a serious manner or not? Is it lighthearted or treated as a joke? Again, it is being treated seriously, and there's absolutely a joke factor, and the entire chapter almost leverages tonal whiplash. Not even almost, it does. It literally leverages tonal whiplash. There's an entire... Here, let's just go through it. Like, seriously, just go through the chapter and see the tonal whiplash of this. Ruka shows up, Kazuya is naked. Ruka talks about how she just wants to get in. She talks about, like, they're dating. Kazuya says no. It flips. Mr. Fish literally says, this is a weird rom-com. What the fuck? Then you have Kazuya focusing on all this stuff. He leaves the house. Ruka's still there. Literally tonal whiplash for you as the reader, because you're like, holy shit, why is she still here? Just as Kazuya is freaked out, you're freaked out. It leverages tonal whiplash to use the surprise against you. Because now you're freaked out. You're like, wait, what the fuck? That scene ended. What the fuck? You have this entire sequence, and Kazuya, like, sounds reasonable. Ruka looks freaked out, and then she touches his crotch, and then all of a sudden, it's a joke. And you're like, what the fuck? And look at Kazuya, he's like, ooh. He looks fucking stupid. She kisses him, but when she's actually kissing him, it's kind of wrong. When she's actually kissing him, it looks wrong. Something about this scene is wrong to you. And Ruka, pretending not to see her mom, is in turn completely ignoring Kazuya. Do you notice how you don't see Kazuya's face? It's literally not about him. He literally doesn't matter in the picture. She's literally not looking at him. When Kazuya answers the phone, you never see his face. Are you noticing that? You never once see Kazuya's face. Then you kind of cut back to his face here. He's in shadows. He's invisible. Then Ruka grabs this. She grabs her phone. She talks. And Kazuya just looks like he's knocked out. It's funny-ish, right? He looks goofy. But there's a reason you don't see his pupils. And the framing here is very intentional. Look at this framing. He's just lying there. The framing tells you everything, right? There is a comedic aspect to this, but it looks wrong. The entire aspect of this scene looks wrong. And when Ruka walks over him here, look at this. I think this is like the most effective way of showing this scene for what it actually is. that it is utterly and totally demeaning, right? That Ruka's skirt swooshes by, literally. Oh look, the eroticism is being leveraged against you. It zooms in on her lips. Again, the eroticism is leveraged against him. And I really would not be surprised if, like, later in the story, Kazuya literally has PTSD from kissing and shit. It freaks him out. He can't do it anymore. I really would not be surprised if Reggie goes that route. Like, Kazuya can't do it anymore. He freaks out. And I can say this for a fact because that happens in Maison Ikkoku. Just for a different reason. It happens in Maison Ikkoku just for a different reason. Where the characters are about to have sex and they can't do it. They can't go through with it. They freak out. This is absolutely going to be that. Kazuya is not going to be okay. And look at the way he looks here. He looks like he's in a dump. Reggie kind of makes him look like a joke. Because he is a joke. He's being treated like a joke. Even the manga treats him like a joke. And I get it. When you're reading that, you're like, this is very demeaning to a victim. Right? When you're reading that, your immediate thought is, this is incredibly demeaning to a victim. This is weird considering how you handled Mommy's character. Right? This is very weird considering how you handled Mommy's character. Right? This is very demeaning to the victim. Right? This is weird. Why would you make Kazuya look like this? This isn't right. Right? Your immediate thought is, this isn't right. Why the fuck does the character look like that? This is not how you depict a victim. This is wrong. And exactly, that's the point. Exactly, this is wrong. This is how he perceives himself. Kazuya perceives himself as a joke here. Not that he was sexually assaulted. Kazuya perceives himself as not the victim here. He says it's his fault. So he looks like a joke. So he treats himself like a joke. It's not a joke. This isn't funny. But he perceives himself as a joke. My favorite character treatment. Okay, can you shut up for a second? Jesus Christ. It's always this. It's always this. Do you guys not learn? Do you guys not learn? Like, we always come back to this. Oh, my favorite character treatment. Yes, Kazuya is his favorite character because he's treating him the way he should be treated. That this is serious, but it's being made into a joke. His pain is not a joke, but everyone treats it like a fucking joke. So the manga, in turn, reflects that. That every character treats him like a goddamn joke. That he doesn't matter in the picture. Ruka doesn't even fucking look at him. Ruka doesn't even fucking look at him when she's leaving. She doesn't even see him. God, we're getting off topic. Wait, this is one is similarly to seriousness, but is more about the overall meaning to the story or themes. What I would view as a well-written portrayal of this for this point would be something that continues to have an overbearing presence in the story, whether due to the way the victim is affected or how it informs us about other characters. A major change to the story if it's an overall message or theme to say through it. But it has. It has. No. This is absolutely haunting Kazuya. Oh, this is absolutely haunting Kazuya. He just started ignoring it until it literally showed up at his front door. No, this did not stop haunting Kazuya. You think it did. It didn't. Kazuya's biggest thing, Kazuya's magnum opus skill that nobody wants to address, including himself, is his ability to disassociate. He loves to disassociate. And yet, this haunts him all the same. When Ruka shows up, he freaks the fuck out. Because he was never over it. In that same way, as we're using Invincible as an example here, it doesn't haunt Mark the entire fucking time. It kind of haunts him. But then when he has to do other things, he focuses on that, only for it to come back and haunt him. I don't know. Perpetrator characterization. This point is focusing on how the perpetrator is shown to the audience, which is extremely important. There should be a clear indication that this is not a good person, which you would think would be obvious, but clearly it isn't. And it should be consistent from the point going forward in the story. Now, if a portrayal is just going to go, this character is bad, it's also poorly written because it is just a cheap way to use it. But In this case, Reiji is drawing a dual narrative, which is quite complicated. Because with Ruka, she's the whole point is that I don't know. I just don't agree with this. At least not totally. Because the whole point that Rent a Girlfriend talks about is that people aren't always good or bad. Good and bad are things we do. And Ruka's absolutely doing something bad. There's a reason she's trying to convince herself she's a good girl. There's a reason Ruka keeps repeating over and over, haven't I been a good girl? As she does something that is not good. It's almost intentional. Or it literally is intentional. Haven't I been good? Haven't I been good? This sure seems like you're being good. Non-consensually touching him. Reiji occasionally has Ruka's actions or speech bubbles break past the panel borders. It visually represents her crossing boundaries and invading Kazuya's personal space. Really? But that's a thing that happens before. Yeah, this isn't new, if this is what you're referring to. This isn't new. I don't know about that. That sometimes happens. It's happened before with other characters. That could be the point. Yeah, see, it happens right here. Yeah, it happens again right here. Granted, technically it works. Okay. Chapter 4 and 4. I would be talking about both chapters for each point because I feel like I don't really need to break them up into two. If one chapter does something slightly better than the other, I will mention that, but I believe they are both poorly written depictions, so I do not distinguish the two. I think this is where Kanokari has most of its problems when it comes to the sexual assault shown, and it really informs us how the audience should be taking it. 404 was like the whole page of close-up panels of Ruka's boobs, and the entirety of the scene is framed in a very fan-servicey way, especially with the inclusion of the bikini. It is like Reiji wanted to still use this scene to make erotic panels like he usually does in any of them much less serious scenes. No, because nothing quite this erotic was ever depicted, in my opinion. No, nothing quite this erotic was ever depicted, in my opinion. Like the closest you'll get is 218. The closest you'll get is 218. And that is an incredibly demeaning chapter to Kazuya's character. So, I don't know about that, Chief. It really defeats the whole purpose of using hobby topic like this if you're also going to use it to make sexy Ruka panels. The in-story defense would be that Ruka is trying to seduce him, but again, I'm talking about the overall writing, and when something does not fit tonally, you find a different way to write it. 4204 tones it down a bit, but keeping the clothes on, but I would still argue a lot of its framing of the panels are still meant to be sexualized, especially the kissing panels that are drawn like anything you would find in chapter 218. You show someone most of these pages and panels out of context and they would never guess it's sexual assault. That's the point. That's the point. That's literally the fucking point. That's literally the fucking point. And if you don't believe me that that's the fucking point, here. No. If you don't believe me that this is the fucking point, here. I have like actual proof. I have literal actual proof. Have you ever cheated on your partner? Kazuya doesn't know how to answer. Does that count as cheating? He was sexually assaulted. He views that as, is he wondering if he cheated? It's almost like it's intentionally framed this way because what does Ruka keep fucking saying? What does Ruka keep fucking saying? over and over and over and over again to excuse the fact that what she's doing is okay. I'm your girlfriend. This much is normal. I'm your girlfriend. This much is normal. And what happens when Kazuya doesn't answer immediately? Minnie immediately jumps to, what? Have you? You're the worst. When Kazuya tells Minnie the story, what the fuck does she say? When Kazuya goes and tells Minnie the story, what does she say? Out of context, what does it look like? How does Minnie react when Kazuya explains it to her? Out of context, what does it look like? It's in the first panel of the chapter. Second. Minnie freaks the fuck out and screams to the bar you had sex with her. Out of context, does this not look like it is just sex between a couple? If you show this to someone out of context, does it not look a certain way? It's almost like Rent-A-Girlfriend has actively, consistently leveraged certain things to look a certain way out of context. Oh, look, isn't that literally what Mommy did in Hawaiians? Isn't Mommy's entire thing leveraging something looking a certain way out of context to frame Chizuru and Kazuya a certain way? And it fucking worked. And everyone believed her. And framed Chizuru like she's a harlot. Mommy calls her a back alley hooker for kissing Kazuya, saying he's just a client when he's way past that fucking point. Ruka said, you cucked me, when Ruka was doing even worse shit to her. It's almost like this is a story that is written and meant to be written in context and not out of context. And not every single scene is meant to be interpreted a very particular way. Right? It is written to be read in the wrong way out of context. That is the point. That is the whole point. It is meant to look a certain way out of context. Reiji is leveraging that. Out of context, doesn't it look like Kazuya and Minnie are fucking dating a lot of the times? Out of context, doesn't it look like Kazuya and Mommy have some sort of fucking relationship? Right? That she might have feelings for him and it's totally normal. When in reality, she's this fucking abuser. Doesn't it look like Kazuya and Ruka have some sort of relationship? How does Minnie treat it? Look at what Minnie says. Do you feel like doing it again? She berates the victim. She calls him a bad boy later. Treats him like a dog, like he fucked up, like he's just a horny monkey. Not that he's a fucking victim. It's almost like it's written this way by design. It's written to look a certain way out of context. Okay, let's continue. The same can't be said for examples in the post. Again, that's not necessarily a fair example. Just because a certain other piece of literature did it a different way, it doesn't mean this literature has to follow suit. I believe, I'm sorry if this is unfair, I believe your stance is very rigid. And I understand this is a serious topic that must be treated seriously. It's funny we're getting into seriousness. But I do think it is being treated with that way, despite how it's being sexualized. And that sexualization is the point. The point is where 424 major problems come in. 424 may have less sexualization than 404, but it traded that for being a lot less serious. I can get the argument that 404 has a serious tone to it, especially with Kazuya not being able to resist and being frozen, which is totally real reaction to the assault in real life. But I can't get that same acknowledgement in 424. The panel that has the ghost spirit of Kazuya blushing happily. Is he blushing or is he just smiling? I didn't see a blush. He's just smiling. I could be wrong. He's just smiling. He's not. Oh, well, Kazuya is blushing. He's not blushing happily. The ghost is coming out smiling. He's not happy. Right? He's not happy. And the ghost is smiling. It's literally morbid humor. It's literally morbid humor. Which is totally real. Okay, completely throws away all seriousness for me and informs me that this is being played up lightheartedly. This should be zero jokes if you're depicting something like this. The series has had plenty of serious moments that much lower stakes, so there's really a reason for there isn't really a reason for this scenario to not be taken the same way. I would even argue the scene with Mami and Kazuya in the car was taken more seriously, oddly enough. Sayori's death was the rental reveal were played completely straight and deadly serious. For some reason, the portrayal of sexual assault was not. The weight. This is the most subjective. This is the most subject to change, obviously. But considering how it will basically only aging worse for 404, I'm going to guess that this will still have a severe lack in weight. I will give a positive in that showing Kazuya blame himself afterwards is a good way of getting across being actually emotionally affected by it and blaming himself. So look, okay, before we continue with the ghost thing, I've talked about this before. With the ghost thing, I think it's a joke, but it's a morbid joke. In particular, Reiji is doing kind of like a subtle joke here. What do I mean? This is chapter 424. 4, like I've said before, is the number of death. So Kazuya's ghost literally exiting his body, his spirit literally exiting his body when Ruka touches his crotch. It's literally meant to reflect how Kazuya is literally not in control of his body. It's a joke, but it's a morbid joke, right? He's literally being turned into a joke. This is important. This is very, very important. Look at Kazuya in the earlier parts of the episode, right? Kind of silly, but still somewhat serious. Freaking out, but still somewhat serious. The more he interacts with Ruka, the more joke-like he becomes, right? The more he interacts with Ruka, the more joke-like he becomes. Here, there's a bit of a joke with Chizuru, but it's cute. Here, there's a bit of a joke with Chizuru, but it's cute. Nothing too weird. The moment he runs into Ruka, progressively gets turned into more and more of a joke, right? Literally, a degrading joke. This, in many ways, in my opinion, is meant to be a reflection of Kazuya's character and how he looks at himself. What Ruka is doing to him, again, not victim blaming, hold the fucking phone. What Ruka's doing to him is kind of a reflection of what he does to himself, which is he treats himself as a joke. So Ruka literally treating him as a joke acts as a reflection of how degrading it is. Look at how serious he looks here. Right? He looks quite serious here, but he's not looking at her. So the moment Ruka touches his crotch, ghost leaves his body. He goes, ooh. Right? He does the stupid ooh, and he slumps over and falls on the ground. Look at how he looks here. It's stupid. And most people, when they look at this, would think it's demeaning. Right? You're demeaning the victim. Right? When you look at this, you would think, wow, this is really demeaning to the victim. No, the whole point is that Kazuya is a joke. To reflect how he is a joke to himself. Even when he's being sexually assaulted, he's just a joke. Yet the only real thing, the only thing that's treated as real and not a joke is the lips. Look at how realistically the lips are drawn. Look at how realistically this scene is drawn. Look at the constant focus here. Right? Look at these scenes. Look at how seriously these scenes are drawn. Look at how Kazuya turns the phone on and he looks normal here. Look at how detailed these scenes are. Look at how Reiji very intentionally shows Ruka's tongue leaving his lip. Literally exiting out. She forced her tongue into his mouth as she forced her way into his home. Then he stays lying there. Again, he's just lying on the floor, but he kind of looks like a joke. Because why? Kazuya is a joke compared to Ruka's mom's authority. Yes, that's the framing here. Kazuya doesn't even get a mention by name in this scene. By Ruka, she's lying to her mom that she's with her friend Haruka. Kazuya doesn't even get mentioned by Ruka when she's speaking to her mother. He doesn't even get to exist. He's a fucking joke. The real person with authority is Ruka's mom. Ruka's mom tells her to come home. She better come the fuck home. Or she's going to be in goddamn trouble. Right? Her mom says to come home. She better fucking come home. Kazuya tells her to stop. She's not going to stop. He's not a real authority. He's a joke. And he's being treated as a joke. The entire framing of this scene makes Kazuya look like a joke because he is a joke. He doesn't have control of anything. And that reflects Kazuya's own perspective of himself, that he has no power or control in his life at all. People will walk all over him. He is the hollow man. People will just walk all over him. Power is the dictator of everything. It will make you look like a fucking joke. That's what the framing of the scene is like. In reality, what the scene is doing is that you need to take control over your life, or you will continue to look like a joke. And this isn't what Reishi's trying to do to Kazuya. He's not trying to like be like, oh, you're a joke and I hate you as a character. Rather, the scene intentionally frames him like a joke because he feels like a joke in his own home. Where's this taking place? Where's this taking place? This is his own fucking house, and he looks like a fucking joke in his own house. You can laugh at yourself in your home and have fun and be silly. That's fine. That's completely different from this. You know what would have ruined this scene for me? You know, I can tell you what I think would have ruined this scene for me. If Mr. Fish, like midway through this, like right after this happened, he's like, man, this dude is such a fucking joke. Right? If Mr. Fish came in and said, man, this dude's such a fucking joke. What a dumbass. What a fucking loser. Then I'd be like, okay, this scene's stupid. Right? If Mr. Fish commented saying something like that, like you got external commentary like that, then I would be like, okay, this scene's terrible. But the fact that this scene has absolutely no external commentary, the fact that there is this fixation on Kazuya's character and how like he looks like a joke in his own home is important. I think one of the most powerful shots is this tiny panel right here. I think this is easily the most effective panel in the entire thing. Fuck. I think this panel right here is easily the most effective. He looks like he's lying in a garbage dump. Doesn't he look like he's lying in a garbage dump? Doesn't it look like Ruka just left him in a garbage dump? He's lying in the fucking hallway of his own home. He's not even on his own bed. He's just lying on the floor. It looks like his shirt is like tilted up, like he's been dragged like this, like from the way back. He looks like a joke. This scene uses comedy to demean Kazuya's character. This scene absolutely leverages comedy to make Kazuya look like a fucking joke. And this is really important because that's what 218 does. This is exactly what 218 does. 218 intentionally makes Kazuya look like a goddamn joke. He looks like a used doll. Kind of, yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. He does kind of look like a used doll. Because that's what he is. He's a doll to her. And I think this is trying to show how Ruka's becoming her own villain. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Like, I was talking to someone earlier, and it's like, they're like, oh, Ruka does know what she's doing. I don't think fully. Not fully. Ruka kind of understands what she's doing because she's not really fully a kid anymore. But she is still a kid because that's reflected in her mentality and how the real authority is her mom. Right? She's a kid playing adult. She's a kid playing adult. She kind of understands what she's doing, but she's kind of losing herself in the adult world. What do I mean by this? Ruka is doing all the fucked up shit that adults do without really processing what she's doing. So, for instance, she's like, okay, to get what I want, I have to touch his crotch, which would demean Kazuya. But she'll do that because she knows it works. What she doesn't realize is how absolutely demeaning it is to him. And if this happened to her or to someone else she loved that she really cared about and she saw what she was doing out of context, she would freak out. She would think this is horrible. But she's not looking at it this way. She's looking at it purely from a desire-driven standpoint. She's not thinking. It's literally like a kid. That's why I'm saying Ruka is a kid and she's getting older, right? This can't be treated like a kid's game anymore because she's older. but she has the mentality of a child who doesn't realize what they're doing. It's like when a kid shoots someone. You know, they got what they wanted. They don't know what it means to shoot someone. As I like that it's kind of hard to convey how dark that is. Throw Kazuya like a trash. Exactly. He's literally tossed on the ground like a piece of trash. It's demeaning. Shoot what? Shoot someone, like with a gun. Which is really interesting considering he mentions Metal Gear Solid 5. Because Metal Gear Solid 5 literally has child soldiers. Granted, he's talking about Ground Zeroes. I don't think Ground Zero... Well, okay, Paz is a child soldier, so never mind. I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about Paz, which is what Metal Gear... Which is why Ground Zeroes... Ground Zeroes talks about Paz, and she's a child soldier. Kind of. Let's see. This is the most subject to change, obviously. Blah, 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 blah. Totally shifts. Okay, so sorry. Let's continue. A positive showing Kazuya blaming himself afterwards. Blah, 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 blah. This very much comes across as Kazuya having to explain himself, and I struggle to see how Reiji is trying to show he really isn't in the wrong. As of now, it comes off more as writing say he does have a blame for it, which he does not. Both chapters just really show that for all the strengths that I believe the series has, it can just properly use this topic if it wants to treat it like a regular event. Well, that's the thing. Kazuya isn't to blame for what Ruka is doing. Kazuya could end things with Ruka, but he's not like he can take control in a different way, but he's not to blame. And again, like I just showed earlier with the cheating chapters, there's a reason cheating was brought up. There's a reason all of that was brought up. And it's specifically because Kazuya told Chizuru, I don't love Ruka. What did Chizuru say? If you don't love her, then it's not cheating. And yet Kazuya feels guilty and blames himself, and Minnie treats it like he's cheating, and he's like he's not serious about Chizuru, and if he's gonna do it again. Not realizing that no, this isn't cheating, this is sexual assault. And I can bet you if Chizuru finds out, she will look at this as sexual assault. She's not gonna look at this as cheating. She's gonna see this as what it is. That he was sexually fucking assaulted. And that he did not consent to this and he did not want this. He's not cheating. The framing is intentionally making it look like Kazuya is partially to blame. Very specifically because Reiji wants you to think this way. He wants people to blame Kazuya because they're wrong. And he wants to show them that they're wrong. It's a red herring. Okay, Invincible. I'll keep the explanation of the example short because I want to limit how much non-Kanokari I'm talking about. It's probably one of the best comparisons, though, because of the example uses of male victim, which is pretty rare to be portrayed well. And it's almost the same medium. To keep it short, the male character, Mark, is sexually assaulted by a female character, Anessa, with the main reasoning that Anessa wanted to keep the Viltrumite species going. Well, no, the entire scene... I'm not going to spoil it. Chapter 110 is when it occurs, for anyone unfamiliar wants to see what I'm referencing. Sexualization. Despite having two naked characters in the scene, it would be impossible to say that this scene is even remotely depicted as erotic in any way. A lot of this is done through the coloring of the panels with a lot of harsh red lighting. Well, that's the thing. Mark doesn't have this conflict of sex. Mark in this point in the story has had sex with Eve. He's had healthy relationships. He's had a messy relationship with Amber. He's had a lot going in his life, you know? So it's not fair to compare Mark to Kazuya. Mark does not have an issue with sexualization. That is not a conflict of his. So sexualization, of course you would not depict it this way. The entire point of this scene is about power. Everything about Mark's conflict with the Viltrumites is power. It is literally about power. So naturally, when he is being sexually assaulted, it is literally pure fucking domination. Okay? He literally can't fight back. Mark's entire thing is that he is invincible. He is the character who can fight, who can fight these conflicts. And at this point in the story, Mark is severely traumatized. Mark is really fucked up. Okay? He has a lot of fucking trauma. He has been through shit. He has literally lived through a goddamn fucking war. Okay, so when this happens to him, it explains a lot why he freezes. Because he is terrified. He is being physically dominated by a Viltrumite, right? And not just that, she's sexually assaulting him and humiliating him, right? In his own home turf, in his own world, while he had just been through something, right? At this point in the story, he had just been through some fucked up shit. And he gets home and this happens to him. Literally, it is a reflection of how the world literally abuses power, right? It is a flip of what Ruka is doing. Where with Ruka, the whole point of the scene is power is control, right? Ruka can do certain things to get what she wants. With Viltrumites, it is a reflection of how they can literally physically control you. They are physically stronger than you. And they can do whatever the fuck they want. Ruka, in contrast, is literally a visual flip, where Ruka is smaller. She's not physically stronger than Kazuya. Kazuya is physically stronger than her. And if anything, he's invincible, technically speaking. However, Ruka can just do one particular thing and she immediately wins. She can do one particular thing and immediately turn invincible into a fucking joke. So that, to me, kind of misses the point. An Invincible not sexualizing the scene is very intentional. Not to mention, it's an American comic. It's not quite the same, right? I don't think that's necessarily fair. It's an American comic. Also, Invincible came out in a much, much older time, right? And I will give Invincible some credit. It is kind of impressive that it dealt with a topic like this at a time when it released, right? But I think the show's probably going to handle it a little better, you know? Mostly because it's actually really delving into Mark's, like, mental scape and where the fuck he is and how he's actually, like, really not okay mentally. And he's coming to terms with the fact that he's not okay mentally and basically accepting that he's not fucking invincible, right? He's not invincible. So him accepting he's not invincible, literally when he's vulnerable and gets used by Anessa, there you go. Now, flip that on its head with Kazuya. Kazuya's walls are crumbling. Rather than him being invincible, all the walls he's put up are no longer working. He thought they were working. No, the only reason his walls worked is because Ruka was okay with them working. Now she's not okay with them working. It's almost like his walls were useless. Everything he's done up until this point is useless. He is kind of a joke. He has to accept that he is powerless in this scenario in order to get power back. It's a very good example to make sure it's not supposed to be arousing. Again, let's continue. Pretty easy to tell that it's taken extremely seriously from not only these pages, let alone, but the resulting arc after. One of the best written aspects of this depiction is the way Mark is shown to be affected by it emotionally. There's a lot of guilt and shame that Mark carries afterwards that even affects his relationship with Eve. He's actually his actual partner. This isn't just a one-time thing. It has a presence as the story moves on from that point, and that's not even mentioning the child as a result of it. Yeah, okay, let's finish reading it. This is where the depiction stumbles a bit. Not every portrayal is perfect, while at the moment, for a decent amount after, Anessa is correctly depicted as horrible. They do let her off a bit easy by giving her a rushed, in my opinion, redemption and sacrifice. She even states that she only regretted the hurt towards Mark, but not the act itself, which is not very good. So that was actually the point, unfortunately. I do agree it's not handled super well. I feel like if it was given a little more time, it would have made some more sense. But basically, she was trying to say, like, she doesn't regret having the kid, but she regrets hurting Mark. And it's meant to reflect how she is still in tune with her Viltrumite heritage and what she was taught all these years, because let's not forget, she was conditioned for a very long time. As for the way Mark deals with it, I unfortunately don't think the comic does an amazing job with it, in my opinion. It doesn't linger nearly as much as you think it does. There are some good points. And I say this as someone who read the comic recently. I say this as someone who read the comic recently. I actually don't think it's handled super well. I'm actually really looking forward to how the show handles it, because it's not as prevalent as you think it is. It's really not as prevalent as you think it is in the comic of Invincible. There is an arc for it, and there is like a small focus on what Mark had been through. Like, he gets a little bit of time to process it, and he slowly kind of overcomes it, and there's some conflicts here and there, but it's rarely kind of the center focus of what's going on, you know? The resulting arcs from it are good, but I don't think it's delved into nearly that well, you know? I think it's handled kind of okay, to be honest. It's not bad or anything, but it's just kind of okay, you know? And ironically, I think Rent a Girlfriend's doing a better job, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to how Invincible handles it in the show. I actually think they're going to handle it really well in the show. Everyone seems to think they're going to cut it out. I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna cut it out. Dude, they kept Mark's fucking guts like spilling out, and they turned that shit into. They made a morbid spaghetti joke about Mark's guts. They're gonna keep it. They had Nolan eating fucking spaghetti, and he didn't want to because he missed the real spaghetti he had when he was with Debbie. And then they had Mark's like intestines getting fucking pulled out. Bro, they're gonna keep it. If you think they're not gonna keep it, you crazy. And I think they're gonna handle it a lot better. People talk about cutting the reboot arc. I could see that. I think they could handle it well if they kept it. I don't think they should cut it. That arc is good. That arc is good. Okay, so Metal Gear Solid 0, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. I think this is also a good comparison in the manga to this manga because despite the sexual assault and context something similar, well, this is I'm sorry, this doesn't feel the same. Metal Gear Solid's comedy is no, Metal Gear Solid is always played incredibly fucking straight. And Kojima does not shy away from showing like really, really fucked up shit that like it's Metal Gear Solid, dude. Like there is crazy shit in this. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. Plus, there's multiple depictions of this, like with Huey Emmerich and what the fuck he did, but they don't actually show it. Or is it Huey? Am I mixing up my characters? What's his dad's name? Wait, Metal Gear Solid 5 characters. I haven't played MGS in a hot minute. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure if I'm not mixing up my characters. Is Huey the dad? The Emmerich dad? Like is he Otacon's dad? Or is Huey his name? I always forget. It's been a hot minute since I played MGS. I'm gonna be real with you. I do kind of remember 5. It's Hal Emmerich. Yeah, Hal did some fucked up shit. But I'm pretty sure he's gonna talk about Paz. Ground Zeroes was originally criticized for including it because the series itself was viewed as not serious enough and too goofy to be handled it, despite the series being serious plenty of times. I think that's a really ironic thing to say. I think that's kind of an ironic thing to say, friend. The example proves that this series, like Kanokari, can include a heavy topic like this as long as it can be written well. But Metal Gear Solid is rated M. It is not targeted towards a younger demographic. It is targeted towards adults. It is incredible. Ground Zeroes is really fucking dark. Ground Zeroes has people being tortured, having their limbs cut off. Like, the sequel game is called Phantom Pain because characters got hit with a fucking explosion and have like shrapnel in their fucking head and they're missing arms and shit. I don't think this is a fair comparison. Even Invincible is a weird fucking comparison. Invincible is a really dark series. Invincible is like a very, very bloody and dark series that, yes, is an homage to comics, but it's like, it's dark as shit. Like, I just don't think he can take a similar approach to those stories. They're very different stories. The example proves that a series like Kanokari, I also have been defending this portrayal for like 10 years now as a good depiction, so I've been waiting for a moment like this. Without too much details again, the character Paz called it, is sexually assaulted as a part of interrogation by the group led by the character named Skullface. This was specifically Chico tape. Oh yeah, I remember this. Like Chico liked her and he saw this. The depiction clears the bar pretty easily. Having just audio already makes it very hard to take it anything but disturbingly, and every time I've seen people hear it, it's just purely disgusting reaction. But it's torture. It's literally it's the R word and torture. Like that's not the same. Okay. Spoilers from Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. Do you know what they fucking do to Paz? They cut her open and they put a bomb inside of her. And then they kept another bomb in another place on purpose because they knew someone would open that and take out the bomb. Yeah, yeah. Do you see how this does not work? Do you see how this does not work? Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is one of the darkest game in the series. It is insanely dark. Okay, Phantom Pain is also incredibly dark. Like, that game it has you, like, fucking saving child soldiers and shit. And, like, going through some crazy bullshit, you know? Like, these games are dark as hell. Okay? Like, this does not... I don't think this is a good comparison. Like, just because sexual assault is depicted in something, it doesn't mean it's the same. You know, just because something is adult and it's depicted in something, it doesn't mean you depict it the same way. Like, if anything, I think a more complicated and nuanced situation of sexual assault that I could show you is from that would match this, that would be a good comparison to this, would be How Do We Relationship. There are two different instances of sexual assault in How Do We Relationship, and I would argue those instances are nuanced and complicated because they're very toxic. They're toxic to both people. One person is being made into the person who does sexual assault, and the other person partakes in that. And then later, there's a person who's very horny, has a high libido, and they want a sexual relation while the other person does not like sex very much and doesn't want to have sex a lot. And she essentially unintentionally forces her into the sexual relationship, and it ultimately demeans her. You know, the person is like, "Oh, you want to have sex this badly? Fine, let's do it." And they do it, and it demeans her, and the girl realizes how in chasing sex with this person who doesn't want to have it, she demeans herself. And it's literally framed like sexual assault. It's not really. It's not fully really, and I think that character is a great, like, here, I'll show you the chapter. I think that comparison is a great comparison to what Kazuya is feeling. I think that the way that chapter is handled is a great comparison to what Kazuya is feeling, except that character is very emotional, and is not like a comedic character. She's a very emotional character. So I can show you, like, I think if I showed you this scene, Jaws would like it. But it works for that particular character, and I think it shows how Kazuya feels really well. Viz Media. How do we relationship? Oh, I gotta log in. Okay, give me a sec, gang. Actually, I'm pretty sure I have it. Pretty sure I have it on my computer. Like, these series are adult series to Kanokari. I know. Like Rent a Girlfriend deals with a heavy subject matter, but not like this. It doesn't have tactical espionage. It doesn't have murder. It's a social commentary. Rent a Girlfriend is a social commentary rom-com with drama. It's not that. And I think you have to recognize that there is, like, a divide specifically in the kind of series you're talking about, you know? Like, I think that's really important, and that's why I think this comparison works a little better. How do... Okay, is it here? There it is. Okay, found it. And understand, this scene is also very misunderstood. Like, when I saw this scene getting talked about on Reddit, it was pretty misunderstood. People did not get this scene at all. Um, well, here's hoping I don't get banned for this. Okay. So this girl is okay. So okay, let me give you some framing. This girl right here is younger than her. She doesn't like sex very much. This is an older character and she likes to have sex. She's avoiding it. So at this point in the story, what's going on is the older character, her name is Miwa. She's avoiding having sex because this girl made it clear that she doesn't like it and it makes her uncomfortable. This is essentially where their relationship falls apart. This is like spoilers. This is where their relationship falls apart. Um, so she's just being very considerate, and she can tell she's being incredibly considerate, right? Don't you want to take a bath with me? You've stopped asking, actually. Ever since our trip, I haven't stayed over once. Hey, is this what you meant when you said that you wanted to change to prove your love? Did you just mean that you were going to start avoiding me like this? Basically, yeah. What do you mean? You know, if I'm close enough to touch you, if I can see your naked body, I'll just start wanting more. And you don't want that, right? You don't like it. So I just thought I'd just keep my physical distance for a while. And that's what my and that way my desire would eventually just fade away. Honestly, just doing something like that is just, if I can stop my heart from pounding when I'm with you, then we can finally be in an equal relationship. Huh? What are you? Stop it. If you're trying to keep your heart from pounding, doesn't that mean you're trying to stop loving me? That's not it. I'm just trying to get it. I'm just trying to stop getting too wound up. That's all. I'm telling you, I don't get it though. Why? I just want us to have a slightly less sex. That's all. Fine then. I get it. Come on. Undress. We're going to have sex. She essentially forces her without meaning to. Again, look at how dominating it is. Wait, why? I messed up. I should have said those things. No, it's not. This isn't how I want it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it when I feel like this. Huh? Just pick one already. Do you want to do it or not? It doesn't bother me. I can do it. I'll make you want to have sex with me. I have to tell her no. I have to stop this. I have no idea what Tamaki is thinking. She must be fed up, tired of me crying and shrieking over something as trivial as sex. She must think I'm such a fool. And yet, right, she kisses her. When she offers herself to me, I can't help but start to want her. And you're already blah, blah, blah. We're going to say all this stuff. I'm sorry. I think you think it's gross, right? You think like you don't like things like this. I'm sorry, but it feels so good. I'm sorry. You all right? I wanted to I wanted it to end up like this, didn't I? That was so awful. I'm so pathetic. I just wish I could disappear completely. It's better to read the chapter itself. Like I didn't do a very good job of this scene. I mostly skipped around a little bit. Mostly because I didn't want YouTube to like freak the fuck out. Um, but I would recommend like giving the chapter or the series a proper read and seeing how it depicts sexual assault without meaning to. Um, it's a layered, complicated thing, and the girl here did not mean to sexually assault her. Right, that was not the intention, and this ends up destroying their relationship. It ends up very demeaning to Miwa as a character, and she realizes it's demeaning. She realizes how terrible it is for her to be in this relationship, how destructive it is. And I can say like openly, like there's a lot of parallels in that relationship to this one, especially because Miwa is older, just as Kazuya is older. And just as the other girl, it has more power over her, just as Ruka has more power over Kazuya. Let me see what chapter this was. Should be like right after when they break up. So the last chapter here is 103. It's called Desire. Yeah, so let's go to 104. Right. She remembers what happened. What's the matter? Sorry, did I hurt you? No, it didn't hurt. It felt good. I'm sorry for feeling good. Please don't look at me anymore. I'm such garbage. Come on, don't. Please just throw me away. Honestly, I thought I reached my limit with sex. I wanted to respond to her desire as much as I could, but it was so hard for me to try to force it when I wasn't interested. And the more turned on she was, the more turned off I got. I love her and I love her body, but I just can't love her desire. They go on a date, and they go to this place, and she says, "Have you decided on your order?" They order something, and she's like, "I'm thinking it might be time to end things." "What things?" "I would like to go back to just being friends, Tamaki." "Sorry? I'm not sure what you're saying. It's hard for me to have my most shameful moments highlighted to me all the time. It's so hard." Right? So before this, I want to highlight something very important to you about Miwa as a character. Prior to this point in the story, she literally humiliated herself for sex. And she was okay with it because she was in a terrible fucking place. She literally humiliated herself for sex, right? And that was another scene that a lot of people interpret in a very similar way to this one. Now she's kind of starting to view it differently, right? Having just experienced such a traumatic thing, she's starting to view it differently. She's starting to treat herself better because ironically she was treated better before. So their relationship wasn't quite like this prior. It led to this, right? It was an unhealthy dynamic because this girl didn't know how to have a healthy relationship with her. She was new to this. It's hard for me to have my most shameful moments highlighted to me all the time. It's so hard. Are you talking about your sex life? That's a silly reason to break up, isn't it? We just had a little fight, that's all. You just have to find a way to compromise on this. The fact that you see it as a silly reason is what made this so hard for me. It's devastating. The fact that I can't share all my love with the person I hold dear is something I just can't bear no matter how I try. No, but seriously, I never said I didn't want to do it. At all, did I? If you want to do it, I'll do it for you. This isn't the kind of thing you should do because you feel you have to. Huh? I'm telling you, please don't use that tone. It scares me. Your voice gets so deep and intimidating, I'm afraid of it. But you said you loved my voice. And they break up. Okay. I didn't want to focus too much on this, but I definitely think this is a better comparison of what Ruka is kind of putting Kazuya through. It's not full on sexual assault, mind you. It's unintentional. Um, but you saw how dominating she was, right? You saw how she essentially dominated her and she used her desire against her. And these two were actually in a relationship. And yet, for much of the relationship, the younger girl, Tamaki, was incredibly dominating. Like, really dominating to the point that she kind of bent herself over for this character just so she would like her. Only for it to end up being incredibly demeaning for her, you know? So while this isn't outright sexual assault, I ironically think it's a better comparison, specifically because of how it's handled. Um, because it is demeaning, but it matches the character. And I think it's important to show that when you're depicting something like sexual assault, it should match the character, not simply just be depicted in a very certain way. Okay. I think the way the sexual assault is being depicted for Kazuya matches his character. It matches who he is. It matches his struggle as a person. And I just think Jaws is not considering that. And I don't, and I'm not dismissing how sexual assault should be depicted, okay? Like, I do think it should be depicted seriously, but I think in this instance, the point might be being missed. But that's just me. I think the fact that you're seeing people like mute, like in the last post when we were reading through it, essentially coping super hard, pretty much highlights my point that like it's starting to crack, it's starting to show. People can't like just turn their eyes away anymore, you know. Um, so sorry, I haven't been reading Twitch. Let me read what Twitch has been saying. Sorry, I haven't looked at Twitch for a hot minute. Hi from Twitch, nice collection. When a girlfriend helped you, people defend Ruka as being by saying they are in a relationship. I love Reiji's art, how the art captures the texture of the moment, the clothing twisting, the gripping of the hands, and the physical struggle. Reiji doesn't make it look elegant. He makes it look heavy and desperate, which is it's gross. He doesn't make it look elegant. It's gross, right? That's kind of the point. Like the way the sexual assault is depicted with Ruka is that it's gross. It's not pretty, right? It's utterly demeaning to sex. It's not pretty at all, right? It's literally, it looks like it's in a fucking garbage dump, which by the way is kind of thematically fitting if Chizuru is in fact doing the cat's play, because the cat's play literally takes place in a garbage dump. So I think that's kind of thematically fitting, that it looks like a joke, that it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because when you watch Cats, it kind of looks like a fucking joke. And that's if this is in fact about cats. And doesn't Chizuru kind of look like a joke here? What the fuck is she doing? Chizuru, the super serious character, looks like a fucking joke here. Doesn't that thematically match the entire point of the chapter? That something looks serious, but it's a joke. Just as right here, Chizuru is very serious, but it looks like a fucking joke. Appearances are deceiving. Wouldn't you argue that the entire point of this chapter is that appearances are deceiving? Just as the chapter is called The Girlfriend in Passion, Ruka isn't, this isn't passion. This is desire. This is obsession. If anything more, addiction. Mommy's obsession. This is addiction. Ruka is addicted. She's on a fucking drug. That's more what this is. It's like a drug. She's addicted. It's not positive. But appearances are deceiving. Some people find it Minnie saying bad boy cute. In Japanese, she didn't say bad boy, she said dame, I think, which is stop that. She essentially said stop that. But she's treating him like a dog. Ruka uses Haruka as a throwaway to tell her mother, using a name that literally means distant or far off. Creates ironic contrast. Wait. No. Okay, I gotta know now. So wait, does it actually mean distant or far off? Because remember, the name could be written with kanji and the kanji could mean something completely different. Okay. Let's ask Crumpy. I don't know if Crumpy's around. Oh, don't show me Devil May Bitch. Fuck Devil May Cry, it's garbage. Not the games. The games are awesome. Fuck the show. The show is garbage. The Netflix show. The Netflix show is garbage. God, that was a close call, gang. That was a close call, gang. No. The games are awesome. The show is garbage. Felt like I had to clarify that. This show is a crapshoot, dude. How is Haruka spelled in Japanese here? What does the name mean? I like Jaws, but man, he's really off the mark here. Understand, I don't disagree that sexual assault should be treated very seriously. And I'm not gonna say Jaws is outright wrong, okay? I don't want to dismiss his stance or his opinion. I just think he's kind of missing the point. That's all. I think it's reaction. And that's fine because people often get upset at victims for reacting. I'm not going to assume Jaws is a victim or anything or how he believes sexual assault should be treated. I'm merely looking at it from my perspective as someone who has experienced it and who has dealt with it. I have dealt with victims multiple times. I am a victim myself. So I I kind of like understand that what Reiji is showing to me, personally, to me, comes from a place of understanding. Personally. If you disagree, that is fine. If you think this is demeaning, that is fine. It is demeaning. The whole point of the chapter is to be demeaning. It's demeaning to Kazuya's character. The appearance of the chapter is deceptive. That is the intention. But if that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's fine. In my opinion, feel free to disagree. In my opinion, I don't think there is a good way to depict sexual assault. I think no matter how you depict sexual assault, it will bother someone, especially a victim. Especially a victim who might have just experienced it and they're uncomfortable. They are not comfortable with this. It probably freaked them out. You might get some PTSD. I have long since dealt with my issues, so I don't get PTSD. I can disassociate, I can separate. It doesn't haunt me. I don't have PTSD. I was able to move on from my conflict. You know, I've lived through a bunch of other things. I'm kind of okay. So for me, it doesn't bother me. But just the sheer depiction of sexual assault will bother a victim, or it may relate to them. It might make them feel seen or understood. Personally, I feel kind of seen when it comes to how Kazuya is being treated in this particular instance, because it felt that demeaning to me. It felt that shitty to me. It felt that tasteless and that empty and that weird. And I like the thing that I think Reiji captures perfectly, in my opinion, when it comes to this, is how dark it is. I think one of the things that I've yet to see with any depiction of sexual assault is how it takes place in like a dark space. It's so hard to describe. Um, it's like this dark, claustrophobic environment. You can like feel your own breath. You feel hot and uncomfortable. You're sweating. Um, it's um it's a little it's the way Reiji does it, to me, captures it so accurately with the environment. It's almost unnerving, because it's so it feels so accurate to the experience I had. It felt dark. It felt empty. You feel alone. You feel like nothing around you exists. When you get out, it's like you're seeing the sun all over again. It feels like you can catch your breath again. And when Kazuya goes to the restroom, catches his breath, feels guilty, and steps out, and Ruka had opened the curtains, literally exactly how that felt. Yeah. Uh, Shit, I forgot to breathe. Fuck. Oof, oof. Digging back through that memory was not great. Oof. Um. Sorry. Give me a sec. Yeah. No. So. The way Reiji depicts and utilizes the darkness, the sweating, the feeling of someone being on top of you, it's unnerving. It's really, really accurate. The way Kazuya freezes, the way he doesn't know how to process what he's feeling. I never processed for what I was feeling for a very long time. For a long time, I just kind of disassociated from it. I just kind of put it to the side and ignored it. Even when it was dealt with, I kind of just put it to the side and ignored it. So no, the way Reiji's depicting it, in my opinion, is very, very accurate. Even with the jokes, even with the demeaning aspect, it's incredibly accurate. Especially like the most important thing that I think he's doing consistently and on purpose is the darkness, the way he's using darkness, and how every time it happens to Kazuya, it happens in a cramped space, and it's all dark and uncomfortable. I don't mean that sexual assault shouldn't be taken seriously. It should be taken seriously. I mean the way he portrays it here is supposed to be different from other series. Exactly. It's specifically to this story. It's different for this particular story. I think Kazuya is slowly reaching a point where he needs someone because he is at his limit. Yes, I've said this too. Yeah, that is the whole point. Anyways, so let me finish what Light over here wrote. So Haruka is a throwaway to tell. Ruka uses Haruka as a throwaway to tell her mother, using a name that literally means distant or far off. Creates ironic contrast. Ruka is physically as close as possible to Kazuya, completely invading his personal space, while the distance she claims to have is entirely a lie. Yeah, Well, no, I think it's an unintentional reflection of how distant she actually is from him. That she's not close to Kazuya, but she's giving her mom the impression that she's close to her, when she's actually quite distant from her mother, right? I think it's I think the name is ironic because Ruka doesn't realize how far away she is from him. I think maybe that's what you're trying to imply. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's how I felt regarding that. That got heavy. Woof, that got heavy. Well, heavy subject matter. It was inevitable. Okay, let's see what Varicus wrote. Ugh. Sorry, just need a minute to. Just gotta compose myself. Okay. When did the manga ever go the way I imagined it going? I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing, but that's so fucking funny. I think I needed that. I think I fucking needed that. It's not even that funny. Why am I laughing? It's not even that fucking funny. Why am I laughing so much? It's so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing this much. It's not even that funny. Chapter 365 of the manga, Chizuru theorizes that an on-screen kiss is not cheating because there are no feelings involved. However, in the physical reality of carnal intimacy, no, it's not that simple. Look, Chizuru is looking at it purely from the perspective of someone who works a job like rental. The problem is that she's trying to look at something from a different lens. Chizuru's perspective is not physical, because Kazuya's relationships and stuff are not like that, whereas Kazuya looks at it from a physical sense. The problem is that it's somewhere in the middle. Cheating is somewhere in the middle. The whole point of chapter 365 is that they're both wrong. It's somewhere in the middle. Sorry, they're both right. They're both right and wrong. It's somewhere in the middle, where you choosing to have sex with someone else, even if you don't have feelings for them, is cheating. Period. You choosing to do that, even if you're not in love, is cheating. Period. Kazuya didn't choose. In contrast, Chizuru kissing someone in a play is not cheating. But if she has desire and chooses to act on that desire, it is a betrayal to the person that you love. Therefore, it is cheating. Do you see the point? Right? That's why some actors are not okay with doing certain things in plays or movies, because they don't want to bother their partner. They value them more than the acting, right? Whereas some actors find a perfect balance with their partner that they're both okay with. This is something that's very important for sex workers, where they know how to strike a comfortable boundary, where they can disassociate the sexual element in their acting from their relationship, and they can do that, and good for them. Fantastic, great for them. Not everybody can do that. Everybody is like, I can't process that. I can never understand that. But some people can, and that's okay. That's kind of what Chizer's talking about. What Chizer's trying to do when she's asking this question is draw a boundary. And the biggest thing that people seem to miss when discussing this entire chapter, every time they bring it up, is miss the fact that Chizuru doesn't have an answer. Everyone seems to fucking ignore that. She doesn't have an answer. Everyone always ignores that. She doesn't know. She says, I don't know. She says all of these things, but they're theoretical. Every single thing she mentions is theoretical. She's not, like, you even say it yourself, she theorizes. She's not sure if that is the answer. And that was the point. She didn't know. She has no fucking clue. I think Kazuya is slowly reaching a point where he needs someone because he's at his limit. You said this earlier. I read it already. I already read this, dude. Jorg, I already read what you wrote. I read it earlier. Don't have to worry about that. I already know. I already agree with you. Anyways. It didn't go as expected, but Kazuya indeed didn't want to face Ruka. Yeah, that's kind of the big thing, is like, facing your abuser is not easy, dude. Facing your abuser is not fucking easy, dude. And Kazuya is not ready to confront her, which is ironic because I would argue Chizuru probably doesn't know how to confront mommy either, even though she kind of confronted her. And Chizuru doesn't know how to confront Ruka, but probably would know how to if she finds out what Ruka is doing. My analysis is late this week, but it'll probably be late for the next 2 weeks as well. It's cool, dude. Mine's late too. Oh yeah, gang, I might have Tuesday off, so we might be able to do a proper stream on Tuesday. Like a proper full stream on Tuesday. I should be able to get Tuesdays off again. I'm not 100% sure, so not 100% guarantee. I will stream, but I don't know if it'll be a full stream. If I get the day off, it will be a full stream. Wednesday at the moment is not a guarantee. Wednesday is kind of weird. I should be able to get Wednesdays back to normal next week. I'm gonna see if I can get like 3 days off. Not sure about that one. I'm gonna see if I can get 3 days off. Not sure about that one. But a lot of people in my department need hours, and I'm okay giving up some of my hours to do some more content for myself and also get some rest. So I'm gonna see if I can do that. There's no guarantee. I'll try. There's no guarantee, but we'll see. So just for this week, I'm not sure. Next week, I should be able to do it. But yeah, I just want to share that. Yeah, this topic is uncomfortable and it really affects me. It's hard to watch. Yeah. Try experiencing it and watching it after. See how you feel. I don't know how I can handle it perfectly fine. I think it's because I don't live in that moment. I think that's kind of why for me. It's like I don't live in that moment. I have left that moment. I have moved on from that moment. Moments. I have left those moments in the past. But like earlier when I was delving into it, like that was uncomfortable, you know. But I was trying to, like, as twisted as it sounds, and please don't do this if you're a victim, I was trying to relive the memory to highlight to you how familiar it felt watching it. And yet, because I can disassociate and decompartmentalize my emotions effectively, it didn't freak me out when I saw it. Because I can decompartmentalize my emotions that way, I can disassociate from what I'm watching and not let it like freak me the fuck out. It's skills I learned in therapy. It's, well, not just therapy. I just kind of learned that in general. Like it's just kind of, it's good to know how to decompartmentalize your emotions so you can look at them naturally. Don't like just do it to disassociate. I think a lot of people, like, when they decompartmentalize their emotions, they just straight up disassociate from their emotions. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not just disassociating from the emotion. I'm separating the emotion from my feelings, and I learned how to do that naturally. So that way, when I experience that, I can look at myself from an outside lens and be like, okay, this is what this is triggering. This is what I'm feeling. That's what I can do. And then if I really need to, I can delve into the uncomfortable emotion and not freak out and lose myself. Not everyone can do that. And this is why I was saying earlier, it's like if someone who has experienced this watches this and it freaks them out or disgusts them, I completely understand, right? Not everybody can do this. Not many people know how to disassociate from their emotions. My mom doesn't know how to disassociate from her emotions like I do. Or am I just saying disassociate? Ugh, fuck. Decompartmentalize. Fuck me. Not everybody knows how to decompartmentalize from their emotions like this. My family doesn't know either, for instance, and it's a hard thing to learn. You know, it's a hard thing to find this balance with, should not feel like fucking emotionless. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight that this is a layered and uncomfortable topic, and it's okay if it makes you feel uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. It looks like Kazuya has been ignoring Ruka since the incident, but Ruka doesn't accept being ignored. She shows up unannounced, and she neither cares for Kazuya's refusal, nor for the fact that he is naked. So, okay, there's one scene that's really interesting to me that I kind of want to delve into in this chapter. If it'll load a motherfucker. Surprise, motherfucker. Dude, I haven't seen Dexter since it, like, first came out. I have not seen Dexter since it, like, first came out. Surprise, motherfucker. Surprise, motherfucker. Okay, it's this shot right here. This shot is really interesting to me because look at what Kazuya does. Kazuya says, "You're very attractive, which is exactly why we can't do that again." The wording and what he's doing is very important, and I think it reflects a lot. So first, let's just focus on Kazuya. He tells her she's attractive, and he turns away from her, which gives Ruka the inclination that he's lying to her, that he's not being honest to himself. He's not telling her the real reason they shouldn't be doing this, right? I said, no, we can't do this. A better reasoning that, in my opinion, would get someone like Ruka to stop, which I get it. You're like, oh, well, you know, he said no and she should have stopped and all that. In my opinion, a better reasoning that would have worked more effectively and communicated his intent more is, Ruka, I don't want to do this. This is demeaning to me. You're hurting me. I feel like a piece of trash when you're doing this to me. Another thing that could work is, Ruka, if you do this again, I'm going to hate you. Instantly stops her in her tracks. One of the things Ruka is terrified of is being hated by him. If you do this to me, I'm going to hate you. And I'm going to end their relationship and I'm never going to talk to you again. Instantly stops her in her tracks. I really think that would, like, gut Ruka instantly. The problem is he turns away and he says you're attractive. He looks like he's in denial. He looks like he's in denial. And there is an element of denial here. That's the problem. No, Kazuya, this is a terrible time to be telling someone you find them attractive. Because suddenly it's like, oh shit, he finds me attractive. This is where Ruka's face looks interesting. Ruka's reaction to being called attractive is the very thing that she wanted, so she blushes, you know? Before this, Ruka wasn't really blushing. She hides in shadow here. I think Ruka always wanted to be found attractive. So Kazuya telling her he finds her attractive, right? It's the thing she was looking for before, gives her a sense of validation, and it acts as a sort of denial, right? So he's in denial, but his body isn't. His body finds her attractive, therefore it's okay to do this. Do you see how Ruka's mind, like, patches it together? Like, just says, yep, this is cool, this is perfectly fine, I can do this. So here, Ruka is, like, timid and reacts. She wasn't ready to be called attractive. She wasn't ready for that, right? Rather, I think the problem is Kazuya gave her validation in a time where he absolutely should not have. Rule 1, when you're confronting your victim, never validate their behavior in any way, shape, or form. Never, ever validate their behavior. Cut them off, like, instantly. In terms of Ruka's case, right? In terms of Ruka's case, pushing her away might have been a good idea, but touching her might not have been such a good idea. In particular, don't let them come close to you, right? Now, Kazuya technically got pushed here, right? Ruka pushed him in, right? However, what you could do is push them away. Right? They try to come close to you, push them away. Now, that's dangerous, especially if you're a woman. Especially if the person is maybe not like receptive. If you're confronting someone, I would say do it in public. Be very careful how you approach the person who's sexually assaulting you. It really depends on that person. In Kazuya's case, yes, it could technically be dangerous to push Ruka. She's much smaller. He could hurt her. But a light push might be a good idea. Shove her a little further away. Tell her, please don't touch me. I do not want to be touched. Stop touching me. Right? The very important thing with these kinds of scenarios, especially if you're in a sort of loving relationship, or not loving, like in a relationship of some kind, you have to set boundaries, and they have to be very strict. And sometimes it's not as simple as setting boundaries, because boundaries might not always work. People will ignore boundaries. So you have to be like very harsh and shut them down incredibly hard. And that's unfortunately what Kazuya is not doing. He feels bad for her. Unfortunately, with sexual assault, you can't feel bad for the person doing this to you. You can't. You have to shut them out. And the thing I was showing you earlier with how to be a relationship captures that well. Yeah, the main girl who was breaking up with her, the older girl who was breaking up with her, felt bad, but she had to. You know, you unfortunately have to at a certain point. You can't just keep feeling bad for the person. You have to draw a boundary, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. Chizuru did exactly that with Umi. She drew a boundary hard, and it didn't matter what Umi was saying or what the fuck he wanted. No, done. That's it. Right? Chizuru didn't need to explain herself. Umi doesn't deserve an explanation. It doesn't matter. It's her fucking feelings. This is what she wants. Back off. And Umi still went behind her back, you know? I think ironically, Kazuya shutting him out might have been a good idea too, but Kazuya never considered that either. So that's kind of an important thing here, is like the way Kazuya turns away and a sort of admittance from him that he finds her attractive is not a good thing, you know? I think this is something that Kazuya should have admitted to earlier, like when Ruka was asking him, was like, yes, I find you attractive, but that's besides the point. Not that's exactly why we can't do it. You can't use her being attractive as a reason you can't do this. Right? Because this is an excuse he used before and it did not work. Remember, this is an excuse he used before, and the way he turns away from her, he looks like he's in denial. I think this is a very intentional approach from Reiji, that Kazuya turns away from her and closes his eyes because he's literally in denial. He's in denial of why he doesn't actually want this to happen. Not because Ruka is attractive. He's in denial of his desires. Because he's in denial of his desires, he gets taken advantage of specifically for those desires, right? Not what Ruka's actually doing wrong. So the problem here is Kazuya is denying his desires. And denying his desires, he's getting taken advantage of, right? And so that's why there's this like comedic element here, because these are his desires that he's hiding inside. So they just come out the moment she touches his crotch, right? You're pretending, right? And what this does, in my opinion, is intentionally act as a, see, Ruka is right. Ruka touching him and Kazuya just smiling and is like, oh, yep, now I'll do what you want, my lady. It reflects that like, oh, look, Kazuya's just in denial. He's just stupid. Isn't this literally intentionally framed like victim blaming? Isn't the framing of this literally like victim blaming? Right? It's the narrative almost intentionally looks like it's blaming Kazuya's character. You're just in denial. You're horny. Just fucking do it. Stop fucking lying to yourself, bro. God. You want to have sex with her. Just do it, man. Just kiss her. God. This is victim blaming. And the story is leveraging victim blaming, because this validates Minnie's beliefs that Kazuya wanted to do this, therefore he's at fault. It's the story literally showing how society ignores Kazuya's feelings. It's actually quite effective, and I just realized this like right now. This is why that shot was like really interesting to me. I really wanted to piece together what the point of this shot was. This contrast right here, right? This is a very important contrast to right here. In particular, Kazuya looking good in a suit and being desired as a capable man, right? Because he's a capable man, he'll be desired. This is important because it contrasts right here with Ruka, where he's literally being desired. Right? He wants to be desired by Chizuru for these reasons, and yet here is Ruka desiring him for those reasons. In some ways, it perfectly reflects how Kazuya is making a joke of himself, just as Ruka turns him into a joke. Right? So as Kazuya made a joke of himself, so too does Ruka turn him into a joke. The framing of the scene is intentional in that regard. He's demeaning himself, so naturally Ruka demeans him too. Right? He wishes to be desired for very superficial reasons, and in turn, Ruka does exactly that to him. She desires him for very superficial reasons. So naturally, it's all just superficial. Naturally, Kazuya looks like a joke, because he's turning himself into a joke. If Chizuru only loved you because you're a capable man, you look good in a suit, and you want to enter adulthood together, aka literally the thing Ruka was saying, come on, dude. Do you see how, in some ways, the way he's treating himself is the way Ruka is treating him? Literally as a joke? He is a joke in his own mind, and he is a joke in the story itself because he's treating himself as such, and so is Ruka. Naturally, the scene frames him like a joke. This is different from the scene earlier, where in chapter 404, it's not the same thing. Chapter 404, it's utterly demeaning to Kazuya, and it's actually sexual assault. And the framing of 404 is different to me because it looks like Ruka's taking him seriously. He looks like he's taking things seriously, and it all demeans him, right? So the whole point of 404 is that it's a scene that is being taken seriously, and that's exactly why it destroys everything. Here, it's the flip. Here, this is a direct continuation. Because Kazuya is not treating his feelings seriously, because he's acting like everything is a big fucking joke, in turn, he's treated like a joke, right? This is almost like a sort of rebellion from his own body, where because he treats himself like a fucking joke, so too does the narrative in turn treat him like a joke. It's a direct reflection of how he's treating himself. So too, naturally, is the assault also framed like a joke. Whereas the first assault is... It's a little different. It's more like... It's more about a lack of control. And that lack of control being highlighted. To the point that it makes Kazuya into a joke. You know? Here, it's a reflection of he's treating himself like a joke. You know? So before, it's like Kazuya was like not treating Ruka seriously. So in turn, he is demeaned. Here, it's the flip. He's not treating himself seriously, and Ruka is the highlight of his problem. And because he's not treating her seriously, he's not being treated seriously. It's literally the whole point is that you're not treating your problem seriously, so we're not going to frame it seriously. The framing is not going to be serious, but it's going to be demeaning all the same. That's, to me, how I'm interpreting this. And in turn, you turn to Chizuru, who looks like she's not doing something serious, when it very well could be serious. It's a flip of Kazuya, right? Whereas Kazuya is joking and not being serious, and in turn, his problem is not being treated seriously. Chizuru, in contrast, doesn't look serious at all, and yet there are people watching her. There are people like she's really trying here, so it is serious. It just doesn't look serious, but it is serious. This is a flipped reflection of Kazuya, whereas it doesn't look serious, it is serious. With Kazuya, it's serious, but he's not treating it seriously, so it doesn't look serious. And it's not treated seriously, because he's not treating it seriously. This is a direct flip of that. This is like real passion, right? Right? If you're so passionate about something, you'll fucking do this shit. Right? You'll be okay looking stupid as fuck if it means you're passionate about the thing that you do. Did we ever finish what Varicus was writing? Okay. Blah 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 blah. The snow wait. He proceeds to ignore her and forget about her. That is not a way to deal with Ruka. She is not wrong when she says that communication is needed to resolve problems. Did she say that? Wait, did Ruka actually say that? God, I must have like blitzed through this chapter when we were reading it. What are you doing out there? I'm here because I'm your girlfriend. You can't just show up unannounced. This is wrong. You've been distant ever since that happened. Line messages too. You won't make time to meet up. There's no reason to be avoiding me. Actually, after what happened, there is a reason. But the problem is you can't just avoid your problem. It'll come to your door. Anyways, just open the door and let me inside. We're lovers. We need communication to resolve our problems. How ironic that she talks about communication to resolve their problems, which she's not communicating. I can't do that. No, I have an orientation for my internship soon, and I'm naked. Why are you naked for? I was working out. So I don't mind. Our relationship is already beyond that, being naked. Right. No can do. Go home. Yeah. He's avoiding her. You can't avoid the problem. This is no way to deal with Ruka. She's not wrong when she says communication is needed to resolve problems. Ruka isn't here to talk, though. Still, it's an ironic phrase where she doesn't realize like what she's saying and how correct it is. Still, what Kazuya does is ignore the problem instead of addressing it. He sends Ruka away and just hopes that she will give up eventually. But she has already shown that she will not do that, and she proves that a bit later. When Kazuya is done with his orientation, he absent-mindedly opens the door to get something to eat, and Ruka is still waiting, determined not to let Kazuya get away with ignoring her. She forces herself inside. Kazuya tries to stop her from going further, but I think that him saying that they can't do this because she's very attractive might have backfired. Same thing I said. Ruka seems to have this as a confirmation that she can convince Kazuya if she just keeps pushing. If she's attractive to him, that means she can win him over, right? Ruka, right, and it's a fundamental misunderstanding of love. It's not about just attraction. Love goes beyond attraction. It's not just about attraction. There comes a point in your love life with someone where it's not just you're not just attracted to them. You fluctuate between being their friend, their family, their support, right? It's not just attraction. Love goes beyond attraction. Right? Love fluctuates. It changes forms. Parental love, familial love, brotherly love, sister love. Ruka also uses the fact that she has done as Kazuya wished and not told Chizuru about what happened as justification to now get what she wants. Kazuya still isn't prepared to handle Ruka's advances. He is right that this would just end the same way as last time. This time, Kazuya is lucky. Ruka gets a call from her mother. She was going to ignore that call, but Kazuya answered for her. Ruka then lies to her mother that she was with her friend and says that she is going to come home now. Kazuya was saved, but he obviously can't keep relying on luck to save him. Next time, Ruka might turn off her phone to avoid interruptions. Kazuya also can't avoid to open the door eventually. If Ruka is going to wait for him, he will have no choice but to face her. Ghosting Ruka is not an option. Hello, hello, hello. I already read everything, Jaws, and I like shared all my thoughts. I like I said before, like when we talked, I kind of somewhat disagreed with your stance. I already shared like a lot of my feelings like in the past like hour or so. So I gave your post like a good hour. And I like went through it and everything. I've read Invincible. I played Ground Zeroes. I played Phantom Pain. And I didn't think they were fantastic comparisons. I didn't think they were very good comparisons. I showed a comparison that I thought was better. Yeah, I turned in when we first started. I can't hear my text to read. Hello. Oh, yeah. Well, again, I understand where you're coming from. Like I said before, I understand where you're coming from. I myself have experienced sexual assault. I myself have dealt with sexual assault multiple times. And like I said, I actually think Reiji's handling it well. I understand if you disagree, and that's perfectly fine. I didn't think the comparisons you struck and the criterias you put were necessarily handled poorly or something that is actually a judge of good depiction of sexual assault, in my opinion. But I also understand where you're coming from and how, like, for example, fan service could absolutely demean sexual assault. But like I said before, the utilization of erotica and sexualization is intentional here, not because fan service, but specifically because Kazuya is horny as fucking hell, and Ruka is leveraging that against him. The entire story it's literally about needing to address your desires, otherwise they get taken advantage of, and Kazuya keeps ignoring them. And Ruka takes advantage of that. That's why the sexualization is there. How many chapters did we see of Kazuya going to a fucking DVD store to beat his meat because he can't fucking address his feelings for Chizuru? How often does he keep trying to disassociate his desires from his love because he wants his love to be pure for Chizuru, right? How often do we see Kazuya, like, literally avoid touching her because he's so fucking terrified that she might not like it, right? So the fact that Reiji leverages the eroticism is very intentional. My point is the comparison wants to simply show where my point of evaluations come from. Just how I personally think is the best gauge the topic of me personally. And I understand that, but like Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is a super dark game, and the sexual assault that happens in that is straight up torture. This like just straight up like hurting her, and the things they do to pause in that game is insane. In contrast, when you use Invincible's story is literally about physical domination. It's literal physical power. And I actually don't think the comics handle it very well, in my opinion. I wasn't comparing content. I understand, but the content is relevant. I understand, but the content is relevant to the depiction. It's you can't remove the content from the actual act. I don't think that's how you go about comparing this stuff. You can't do that. It's literally part of the narrative. With Invincible, it's thematically fitting that it is literal power domination, and it's not about the sexual act. It is about control. It is Mark literally being physically dominated, because that is what Viltrumites are. They are species of power. So for him, it being depicted in such a way is thematically fitting. That is what they do. It is not sex. It is not romantic. It is power domination. Ruka's, in turn, is a complete inversion of that, where Ruka is smaller than Kazuya. Ruka is not stronger than him. Ruka cannot physically dominate him, but she can leverage certain things against Kazuya, and that is what she does. So naturally, she's leveraging the eroticism because that is specifically Kazuya's issue. That is specifically Kazuya's problem, that he finds her attractive, that he is bottling in his desires. That is what she leverages against him. That is basically my problem with the comparisons that you strike. It's like, you're not necessarily wrong. It's just in removing the content, you kind of misunderstand the idea, in my opinion. And that's fine. I understand, like, sexual assault should absolutely be taken seriously, but it's just, you can't always depict it the same way, you know? It's, and the way it's depicted in this works for me, and I understand if it doesn't work for you, but it works for me. Eroticism, Kazuya's kryptonite. And ironically, it wasn't necessarily before. It's more so began with Hawaiians. Chapter 218 is incredibly important to this, right? Chapter 218 is really, really important to this, because it is the root cause of Kazuya's insecurity. And the thing is that what Kazuya does is disassociate. He disassociates from these things, and they leak into his mind from different ways. And that's the problem, is that he's disassociating from these feelings. And that's why Ruka doesn't seem like a big deal, but she is. She is the problem he is ignoring until it literally walked to his fucking door. Anyways, it was also a response to a lot of people from the Discord that kept asking me about why I thought it was bad, and I thought this was a good portrayal. I see. Well, to be fair, no offense to a lot of people on Discord, they're very close-minded. It's the same with Reddit. Like, have you seen the responses to your post? It's dumb as shit. Half of the responses to your post are dumb as shit. It was the same thing with me when I was talking about the abuse thing. People are like, oh, you're just defending Chizuru. I'm like, both Chizuru and Kazuya are fucking victims, you idiots. That's literally what I was saying, you stupid dipshits. Literally, the problem is that people will like cherry pick and like latch on to one particular thing and just be like, oh no, this is that. And it's been happening to me a lot. Like, I'll talk to people and they'll fucking cherry pick things and be like, oh no, this is this is that. And it's like, I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like most of the people there are just fucking stupid. Oh, most of the responses I couldn't even bother to respond to because half of them don't even think it was sexual assault. I know it. I was ironically talking to a person on Twitter who was treating it like Kazuya is like, you know, Kazuya can't fucking do anything, right? He can't do anything. There's not a single goddamn thing he can do. And I'm like, no, because that's literally what your abuser wants you to think. When you condition yourself, you are powerless. You let yourself keep getting abused. And I'm not saying this to victim blame. I'm saying this because this is literally what abusers want. And that's the problem. And so, like, I'm telling him, it's like, no, Kazuya can do things. He's just convinced he can't. He absolutely can do something preemptively before it fucking happens. Approach it differently. He's just like, no. And eventually we kind of kept looping, and the dude's because like, you're not giving me answers. I'm like, nope, I'm done. Goodbye. I'm blocking you. Nope, I'm done. You're getting blocked, dude. Shut the fuck up. Like, it was getting so annoying. I felt so bad because like G, who comes into our chat here, was like also talking to him, and I had to go to Discord. I'm like, gee, bro, just stop talking to this man. Like, this dude is not fucking listening. He is off in his own world. He doesn't fucking give a shit. Just fucking block his ass, dude. Like, it's so bad. Like you're not having conversations with people, and I think that really sucks. You're literally not having conversations with people. It fucking blows. Like this is sexual assault. Like, as someone who has experienced it, this is absolutely sexual assault. And I'm still of the mindset that Ruka doesn't get it. Ruka doesn't know she's doing this, and that's kind of the most fucked up part, you know. But yeah, I mean, one of them said it wasn't because it wasn't violent. What? 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 How do I begin? What? God, this is like being brainwashed by like Hollywood to like think sexual assault is always violent. That's so stupid. Oh man, that's like you gotta like rewire that motherfucker's brain. That's what you gotta do. You gotta like rewire that motherfucker's brain. They're not gonna fucking understand. You gotta give them like a fucking gender and women's studies class for them to like fucking understand what the fuck. Bro, go to college. Go take a fucking gender and women's studies class. Go open your fucking brain, you stupid dipshit. So fucking stupid. Oh my god, it's so dumb. Oh, it's so dumb. People, yeah, I think that's the tragedy of this story is like people don't know how to engage with it. It talks about like really uncomfortable subject matter in a way that's not like very traditional. Like, it doesn't approach it with the super serious idea, super serious, always treat it super duper serious. Sometimes it's like okay with being morbidly dark about it, where like the Kazuya's fucking ghost thing happening. Yeah, that's a reflection of how Kazuya is lying to himself. It's turned into a joke because he's treating himself into a joke. So naturally, it becomes a joke. That's why that scene is like semi-comedic. It's literally proving Ruka right. It's proving the viewer right that, oh, Kazuya's just pretending. He's just a horny fucking idiot. He's gonna give in. The moment she touches him, he's just gonna give in. He's a stupid fucking idiot, you know? And that's the point. You're a fucking idiot for thinking that. You're an idiot for thinking, oh, you just because he finds you attractive and he gives in the moment you touch him, it doesn't mean it's okay. And that was interestingly a part of Mark's story, which you mentioned, by the way, with Invincible. Mark is stronger than Anessa. That's a big part of Mark's conflict as a character and why he feels so fucking guilty over Anessa. He's stronger than her. So he's like, why couldn't I fight back? That was a thing that was like talked about when he was talking to Eve about it in the comics, where he's like, she's like, wait, so did you enjoy it? And she realized she said something wrong, right? Because Mark is just like, I didn't want that to happen, but I don't know why I couldn't fight back. And I'm really curious to see how that gets explored in the show. I kind of hope they explore it in a meaningful way and like get into the nuance of it instead of just playing it straight. Because I feel like they might play it like super safe, and I really don't want them to. I don't want them to play it safe. I want them to get into the nitty gritty, uncomfortable detail, and I don't mean like showing it. I mean the talking part. I want them to get into the uncomfortable talking parts of it, and like show the uncomfortable like discussion around that, not just simply, oh, here's Anessa having sex with Mark. That's no. I think that's dumb. But yeah, no, I think that's a big thing that was even present in that one, where literally the idea that Mark couldn't fight back. And that was really interesting too. So yeah, I kind of hope to see that. Yeah, some of the people in the Discord were really hung up on him not pushing her off, and that's like one positive I gave these chapters is showing the reaction during it. Yeah, Kazuya freezes. And it's because he literally has this sexual desire that he's bottling up and it's being abused against him. So he literally mentally shuts down. Like I think that's such an accurate depiction of that entire situation. And I think it's important to like see like Ruka's perspective, because the way Ruka's looking at it is like completely wrong. And doesn't even cross her mind that she's like looking at it the wrong way. Right? Because she's still like unfortunately a kid. Yeah. No, like even I said like I remember when I first saw it, I made that mistake too. I'm like, oh well, Kazuya is physically stronger than her, and then I saw him freeze, and I'm like, oh, I understand. Got it, dude. The moment I saw him freeze, I'm like, I understand. This is sexual assault. Jesus Christ. Right? Like the moment I saw him freeze, I just immediately understood. I'm like, oh dear. Okay. When Kazuya is done with his orientation, he absent-mindedly opens the door. Blah blah blah. We already read all this. Yeah, she can win him over. Ruka also uses the fact that she has done as Kazuya wished and not told Chizuru about what happened as justification to now get what she wants. Kazuya still isn't prepared to handle Ruka's advances. He's right that this would just end the same way as last time. This time, Kazuya is lucky. Ruka gets a call. Okay, I think we were at this already. Yeah, ghosting Ruka is not an option. At the end of the chapter, in the end of the chapter, we see Chizuru is practicing pretending to be a cat. I don't quite see the significance. It seems a bit random to me, but maybe we'll get some more context later. Next, the teaser for next time is initial workload. Workload? No, it's just initial load. Kazuya mentioned that he's still starts a real internship soon, so I think this is the teaser for her to that. He's still trying to follow his plan, blah, blah, blah. Okay. In my opinion, Ruka is not being about communication to solve a problem. Comes off as ironic to a disgusting, degrading level for her because she won't allow a two-way communication which threatens her interests here. Kazuya has communicated verbally and not. Well, no. See, the irony is there's an irony to even what Ruka herself is saying, and what I mean by that is that ironically, Kazuya isn't really fully communicating to Ruka. That's kind of some of the irony of the situation. Kazuya isn't fully communicating to Ruka. Like he is and he isn't. And what I mean by that is that he's kind of lying to himself, and he's not telling Ruka what she's actually doing wrong, you know? Because he doesn't know what she's doing wrong. That's kind of the problem. Kazuya doesn't even know what she's doing wrong. He kind of knows it's wrong, but he doesn't actually know that this is degrading and insulting to him. He's making it about Chizuru. And I've said this before, that's the problem. That the problem with the way Kazuya is approaching this right now, and this is the core problem, what the fuck is going on in the story right now, is that Kazuya is using Chizuru as an excuse, right? He needs to say, I don't want this. Ruka, I am not okay with this. Instead, the way he tells her ironically comes off as an excuse. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying that this is the problem with how you're approaching this. Or how he's approaching this, sorry. When he says, I can't do this because I love Chizuru, Chizuru becomes an excuse. Well, she's like, well, it'll be fine if I love you, right? Or sorry, it'll be fine if you love me, right? It'll be fine if you're not betraying Chizuru, right? And when he says, you're attractive, that's why we can't do this, well, it'll be fine because you find me attractive, so it's okay. Right? I find you attractive, you find me attractive, therefore it's okay. Do you see how her mind can try and reason this? And it's not right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying this is the problem with how you need to approach some of this shit. You need to know why you don't want to do this. And you have to be very clear about that. Right? You tell Ruka, again, we could talk about he should, she could, blah, blah, blah. He said no. But I'm saying is, the point is Ruka's not listening. And she will take what she wants. Unless you take away something she wants. Or you make it clear that she's hurting you if she actually cares about you. The problem is Ruka, I think, is somewhat convinced she's not hurting him. He doesn't hate her. It's fine. He finds her attractive. It's okay. That's kind of some of the problem with Ruka. She's not like processing that she's doing something wrong because he's not telling her she's doing anything wrong, right? She thinks, well, it's okay. Eventually, you'll come around, and that's the problem. It's this idea of, oh, if I do this, you'll like it, right? It's like when you're in a relationship with someone, and you tell them, I don't want to do this sexual position. And they think you're just being stubborn. You're not serious about it. So they try to do it. They try to do it, and then you tell them no, and they're like, "Oh, it'll be fine. You'll get over it." It's like, "No, I said no. I don't want to fucking do this." Right? They don't understand. They think you're just not serious. This acts as an immaculate reflection of how Minnie treats Chizuru. This acts as an immaculate reflection of how Minnie treats Chizuru. Because Minnie is just under this impression that Chizuru isn't serious. She's not really thinking about her feelings. But she's just in fucking denial. She's so dumb. Oh, look at how innocent she is. She's just so goofy. She's not serious about this, right? It's a parallel to that. It's a parallel to how the readers have been treating Chizuru. That she's not actually taking this seriously. She's not really putting in an effort. She's just lying to herself. If she just kissed him, she'd get over it and all that. She's so dumb. And what they don't realize is that that's literally victim blaming. That's literally enabling terrible behavior, because you're saying, "Oh, they'll just get over it. It's okay." And then if you do this to someone else who actually doesn't want it, do you see the fucking problem? That's the problem. That's what Reiji is highlighting. That oh, what Ruka's doing is okay. Kazuya's just dumb. Rather, if you draw a clear line and you make them realize that what they're doing is wrong, then it changes things a lot. And I think there might be a point where maybe Kazuya could snap at Ruka. I actually thought this from the start. There's a possibility Kazuya could snap at Ruka. Especially if she continues to be invasive, right? I think Kazuya, there could be something where Kazuya could become like so abused that his internal just can't take it anymore and it lashes out. Right, the internal that he's been ignoring this whole time might eventually just lash out because it keeps getting abused. It keeps getting ignored. He's ignoring it. So it's just going to explode out of him. And he's just going to get mad. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. I actually already thought that would be the case from the first time it happened. You know? We've seen Kazuya multiple times seem like he's getting upset. And he's starting to get upset with people. And I could definitely see that exploding out of him, like just getting fucking mad. Okay, let's see here. Let's continue. Especially the nonverbal communication cues from Kazuya to her, avoiding being with her at all costs since the first sexual assault incident should have made her understand that what she did is wrong, but she always selfishly ignores them. In the end, well, she I actually genuinely believe Ruka feels like she did something wrong, but she doesn't know what it is. In the end, Kazuya would have to communicate with probably harder tones, put her in front of her wrongdoings, even if it hurts her. That's kind of actually the point. You have to stop putting someone else's feelings and put your own first, right? You have to put your feelings over someone else. That is going to have to happen if you truly need to value yourself and your feelings and your emotions and like what you really want. And that's the problem. Kazuya is not putting his feelings first. He is still putting Chizuru's feelings first. He is still putting other people's feelings first. If Ruka gets hurt, he'll probably feel bad about it. Even if he has to appeal to external help to do so, Chizuru most likely or Minnie. I ironically think Minnie might not do much. Chizuru, I think, is the one who needs to know. Although I'd personally prefer if he does this himself because he's been bailed out by external intervention nearly every time. No, but if Kazuya actually reaches out for help, I think it would be good. He's surely the only person in this story or has completely snapped. Surely this is indeed even a little bit. Kazuya never wanted to end the relationship. He wants Ruka to be the one to end it. Kazuya knows nothing about Ruka's obsession, physical condition, so this will continue indefinitely. Well, yeah, that's the problem, is like Kazuya just wants Ruka to end it, and she's not going to. And he has to accept that that is not going to happen. Let's see. Johan, have I already told you that next chapter is called? Could you not? Could you not? I don't want to know. I don't want to know what the next chapter is called. I've mentioned before, I don't like spoilers. Don't. No. Do not tell me. I'm gonna write it in chat so they understand. Okay. Well, it seems like you understood. Just don't say anything. Also, I did put the TLDR because I've seen how the subreddit reacts to long posts lately. Lol. Yeah, that's kind of why I chose not to write anything. Like, I was gonna write something again recently, and I kind of just changed my mind. I've kind of just given up on responding to people. Like, I always see people like say stupid shit, and like I'll show them how they're wrong, and they don't care. So I've just kind of given up. I don't bother writing long posts anymore. I think I'll just commit to start making videos and shit, and then I'll keep writing on Twitter, and that's fine. I like the Twitter audience because they seem a little more open-minded. Ironic, I know. Ironic, I fucking know. But I seem to attract nicer people who will actually follow me. And I like the Japanese audience. They actually feel like they're willing to like open their mind a little bit. And I like talking to them. But I also think I should just shift away from like Reddit and like go to start making like more YouTube content. I think that's just better. Infidelity, in theory, would never be betrayal towards Chizuru through Ruka's lens. No, I think Ruka deep down knows it's betrayal. Oh no, I think Ruka deep down, like, is lying to herself. She knows it's betrayal. I think Ruka is kind of somewhat lying to herself. She's telling herself it's not betrayal and she doesn't want to hurt these people, but she's not actually thinking it through. If Ruka had actually thought it through, she would know what she's doing is not only betraying Kazuya, but Nagomi and Chizuru. Like, she's not thinking it through. And it reflects how Ruka is, in fact, a child. She doesn't fucking get it. My Twitter feed is impossible to handle thanks to fucking Elon, so I never see Kanokari posts while they are relevant. I barely see posts, but luckily for me, I've like filtered my Reddit, so like my posts rarely blow up and reach the stupid people. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of somewhat of a win. But I mostly just follow the artists and stuff, and I don't seem to attract many stupid people. I don't even talk to Briff that much because Briff engages a lot with like a lot of the stupid shit around Rent a Girlfriend. And a lot of the posts he makes are very like, you know, rage baity sometimes. Like he kind of knows how to play the system, so a lot of his stuff is like rage baity. So I don't bother. I go to Twitter because I like Final Fantasy shit, or I rarely see Rent a Girlfriend stuff. It's not even that much on there. Usually it's only if it blows up and it only lasts like 2 fucking seconds and they move on. It's always the same. Fucking Blue Box blew up for like 2 days and people moved on. Rent a Girlfriend, every time it has a big thing, it blows up, someone makes a stupid fucking post, moves on. It's always the fucking same. So I just kind of stopped like caring about those stupid posts, you know? I just occasionally get annoyed at Gigok and just kind of be like, oh, what a fucking poser. Gigok pisses me off because he's actually smart, but then 2 seconds later, he'll be the stupidest motherfucker. Gigok is so frustrating to me, dude. He's actually smart, but he tunnel visions so hard with this series. He likes to always be like, see, look at how shit this is. He loves to go and be like, look at how shit this is, right? And then someone will be like, oh, this actually sounds interesting. He's like, no, it's not interesting. Don't actually get into it. He's so dumb. He's such a tsundere. He's such a tsundere, dude. Like the dude can't help himself. He can't fucking help himself. It's actually hilarious. Like, he's like addicted. Gigok is the definition of a hate grifter. I think he just knows how to play the system. And he plays directly into it, and he knows what appeals to audiences. Like it shows in like how they do trash taste and what they do. He creates things that are liked by other people. You know, he knows how to engage an audience. He's a performer. He's a performer. You know, and you know, it just kind of sucks because like sometimes like stories like this get get kicked in the heel because of him, and he facilitates a lot of hate around it, and it kind of irritates me. Like the fucking video he made where he like made Kazuya's boner fucking blow up or some shit. Like it gets super long. And then he's like, "Oh, the video was like adult restricted, so I'm going to take it down." I'm like, "Gee, I wonder fucking why." Gee, I wonder why. Not like not like you had a boner just like extend to the size of a mountain or anything. I wonder why. So goofy. Riff is doing it for money and support was just second for him. What? Oh, that support was just second for him. I don't know. I think Briff is more of I think Briff is like cuz like I've seen him like stream. He's young. So it definitely shows in how he approaches things. He's definitely like talks and like approaches things like a younger generation where he baits people in, but then he actually kind of means it. It's just the way Briff talks about things. It's like it's so he talks like he's really smart, but it ironically comes off a lot more close-minded than he realizes. You know, he talks in absolutes a lot. That's kind of my problem with Briff is like I don't like talking with him sometimes because he talks in absolutes, whereas Reiji is like very anti-absolutes. He very much does not like absolutes. He likes to view he likes to look at his own characters objectively, where like he can view the bad and the good. And that shows with characters like Kazuya, with Ruka, with all the characters, you know. Gigak will host the Anime Awards this year. He always does. How is that shocking? Dude, he hosts the Anime Awards and proceeds to shit talk them 2 seconds later. It's actually kind of hilarious. Like, he literally hosts the Anime Awards and proceeds to say how shit they are. Like, 2 seconds later. Like, I'll give him credit where it's due. He has the balls to fucking do that, and he knows they won't say anything, and they'll just bring him back. Like, credit where it's due. They're just gonna bring him back, because he's too big. Doesn't matter. And then you have, what's his name? Fucking Mother's Basement, like, lying through his fucking teeth. Doesn't actually read or know anything about Rent a Girlfriend, but then just, you know. I can bring him inside. Same energy as the people that say the Oscars are not important, then get mad about what wins, right? Pretty much. Pretty much. Right? That's so accurate. If Kazuya has an internship, then imagine if the internship blocks him for July 11th with Chizuru. So interestingly, I've talked about this before. July 11th in Japan has a massive connotation to time travel, in particular time looping, right? In particular time looping. So that's why Reiji picked that. July 11th literally has this connotation of time looping and traveling back in time. You know, like Tokyo Revengers and shit, where you jump to the future and then you jump back into the past. So Reiji intentionally picked July 11th because of that association to time travel. There was like this incident in Japan apparently where this dude came from he had a passport from a country that didn't exist. And it was like dated from like the future or something, and then the dude just magically disappeared. So a lot of people associate it with time travel. You'll see it in anime a lot, where there's like this time travel thing in anime with July 11th. So I think that's the idea behind it, because when you saw the 3-month time skip, didn't it feel like we just randomly time jumped, if you will? Reggie will drop random BS just to make July 11th the date toward the Western story and the Western story and used in Japan. That's a Western story and used in Japan. Well, yeah, it's the July 11th thing is a Japan thing. I don't know if it's a Western story. I heard it was a Japanese story. But it's literally the thing in Japan where July 11th is associated with time travel. Mother's Basement is back. He never left. He never left. Unless you're saying he made another video. Unless you're saying he made another video. In which case, cool. More grifting. Cool. More grifting. Did they say what day July 11th is? I think it's like a Sunday. I think they said it was a Sunday, but it's subject to change. Reggie could change it at any time. We had a brief reprieve from the pressure, the stress Kazuya's isolation in the last few chapters. We had time with Sumi. We had Kazuya realizing he might actually be attractive to some women, and he managed to get his license. He didn't get his license. He got like his previous license. Plans big and apparently land his internship. He had some actual success and his confidence is up. It's relevant. Is it just his like anime video and then he just happens to mention it in there? Is that just it? Isn't that literally what Giok did? I would argue it's irrelevant. It's just perpetuating the same cycle. If that's what it is. If he made like a full fucking video, okay, that's another thing. But if he just had like his anime thing and then he picked a scene, like cherry picked a fucking scene and then just said this thing is shit, what else is new? Who cares? Ruka is here to smash all of that to pieces. He has tried to cut ties. He refuses to let her in. He's avoiding her. People keep ignoring. Kazuya is avoiding Ruka. Ruka didn't just smash this to pieces. Ruka is the problem Kazuya is ignoring. If he keeps ignoring it, it doesn't matter what he builds. It will always crash. He told her that he only wants me so hard. None of this has stopped her. Even when he refuses to open the door and waits 2 full hours to open it, she lied in wait and pounced, forcing her way into the apartment. He tried to physically keep her at distance, literally hold her arm at arm's length while he told her plainly to clearly that he doesn't want anything to happen. I said, no, we can't do this. And then you're missing the part where he gives her an excuse. His rejection is direct as it can be, but then he admits she's attractive, and then she grabs him. Ruka, oh, well, okay, he said it right here. Reishi seems to be doing 2 things here. He's making it really obvious that she's the aggressor and that this is assault. He said no, and she straight up grabs him. MGS2 President's... Wait, is that MGS2? No, that's MGS3. Wait, I thought of MGS3 with Volgan. That's what I thought of.
President Johnson.
Huh? So you're finally here.
You've been expecting me?
Your equipment, that skull suit isn't exactly standard military issue.
Are you all right, sir?
Does President Johnson actually...
Is this some kind of sick joke? I thought you came to kill me.
What?
I'm prepared to face the consequences of my betrayal.
What are you... What the...
You're
okay.
A man? Well, who are you?
Okay, that's not what I thought of. I thought more of Volgan, because Volgan, like, just... He lets it sit there. He grabs that junk and holds it for a second. So I thought more of Volgan, you know? I thought more of Volgan. That was more fitting, especially because Volgan had a relationship with that person. And he could just tell from that person's dick, oh, you're not him. Oh, you ain't him. Kazuya says no, Ruka persists, and the result is plainly non-consensual. It's bad. Second, he's also pointing out a huge complication in a lot of real sexual assault cases. There can be attraction and even arousal without consent. It doesn't make non-consensual assault less of a crime, but it sure confuses things for both people involved. Kazuya has been struggling with a ton of guilt since the first assault because he responded to her actions. The whole enchilada from arousal to completion. He's always considered Ruka attractive and still does, and now he even says as much. Maybe Ruka thinks this is admission in some sort of maybe Ruka thinks this admission is some sort of valid consent, and probably some readers do. Damn, I gotta play the MGS series. Dude, MGS was like my third favorite series for the longest time. I haven't touched it in a long time, so it kind of dropped down because I just don't remember it very well. I remember some like for example, I don't remember that. I remember certain things about it. But I definitely gotta replay it at some point. I have the entire collection. Peace Walker is goated. Peace Walker was fun, but I do remember not liking the mission style. The story was great. I remember like fucking crying in the end. But I remember like also being kind of annoyed with the mission style. Like, you know, it works well on PSP, but because that's where I first played it. It works well on PSP. I even played Portable Ops. But it doesn't work very well on console. You know, I don't know. It just didn't click for me very well on console. Peace Walker is great. I think MGS3 was my favorite for the longest time. MGS2 has really grown on me over the years. MGS2 has really grown on me over the years. I remember liking 4 a lot. The 4 was 4 like kind of got me emotionally, but I do remember it having a lot of cutscenes. I remember thinking 5 had like the best gameplay. And I've been seeing videos about 5 and how 5 is actually like a much better story than people realize. And I'm like, damn, that's sick. Like some of these videos are super fucking cool. Some of these videos are super fucking cool. Like years later, piecing together how every single thing you were told was a lie. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like Metal Gear Solid 2, except you never get the truth. That's sick. It's MGS2, but you never get the truth. That's pretty fucking sick. MGS1, the thing I vividly remember is the torture scene because I couldn't mash fast enough. So I grabbed a spoon and I moved the spoon really fast so I could mash fast enough to survive. That's what I remember for MGS1. I didn't play MGS1 very much. I played it kind of a little bit. But yeah, the one I remember the most is 3. I think 3 was like the most straightforward. So 3 was like the most popular, and I still think a lot of people believe 3 is like the best one. I played MGS4 when I was 8 as my first Metal Gear, so I'll always love MGS4. I saw MGS4 when I first got the PS3, but my first ever Metal Gear Solid game was Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1. It is one of the only games that I remember from my childhood. You know why? I got stuck in the intro and I didn't know how to get past the guards because I was like 3. So I didn't know how to get past the guards or some shit. I don't know how old I was. I was like 3 or 5 or something. And I remember like I was stuck there. And the way I realized this is because on the PS3, when I downloaded Metal Gear Solid and I started playing it, I instantly got flashbacks. I'm like, holy fuck, this is the scene I was stuck in when I was a little kid. Oh my God, holy shit. This is one of the first games I have ever played. And that's how I fell in love with Metal Gear. I remembered it was one of the first games I ever played as a kid. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. The other games I remember from my childhood are like the Hercules like on rails game, the Pepsi Man game. I played that when I was a kid. There was like a weird Bugs Bunny Toon World game. My first ever console was an Atari, and I played Mario Bros. Not Super Mario Bros, Mario Bros. The original Mario Brothers before Super Mario Bros. That's what I played on there first. I played Sonic on there, I think, or something. I don't know if Sonic was on there. Maybe it was something else. I remember playing Tekken 1 or Tekken 2, one of those. I played the old ass fucking video games, dude. I'm always stuck at the beginning of the game because my parents didn't buy the memory card for GameCube and PS2. Laugh my up. I still have a lot of fun. You know what's really interesting? You mentioned this. Look at what I found recently. I found my old PS2 memory card. It's still functional and everything. My old PS2 memory card. It has my playtime of Kingdom Hearts 2 on it. It has my playtime of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. I also found this. My old copy of Chain of Memories. Bro, these are like gems, dude. These are fucking gems, dude. Oh, I also found this other thing. So it's the Hunter x Hunter card, but it like opens and it's an actual USB. I don't know why. I don't know why I got that, but that's cool. Okay. Okay. So sorry. Let me continue here. Okay. So pointing out a huge complication in the sexual assault case, there can be attraction, even arousal, without consent. It doesn't make non-consensual assault less of a crime, but it sure confuses things for both people involved. Kazi has been struggling with a ton of guilt and sexual desire since the first assault because he responded to her actions. This whole enchilada is this enchilada from arousal to completion has always considered Ruka attractive and still does, and now he even says as much. Maybe Ruka thinks that admission is some sort of valid consent. Maybe she doesn't know enough to understand that physical responses aren't consent, or maybe she's just selfish and she just doesn't care. Mix of all three. So regardless of everything that happened, I will keep bringing this up, and you're free to disagree with me. Ruka is a kid. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but it explains it. This does not excuse Ruka's behavior and her actions and what she has done, but it explains it. She does not understand, period. That does not make it okay. Right? It's that simple. She's a kid. She doesn't understand what she's doing. Not completely. She understands some of what she's doing, but not completely. And I think the moment Ruka understands what the fuck she's been doing, she's gonna snap the fuck out of it. And she's gonna be like driven mad with guilt. She's gonna feel fucking horrible. But despite his paralysis, Kazuya spots his opportunity when Ruka's mom calls, and he manages to reach out and answer the call, forcing Ruka to break away from him and talk to her mom. I think it's worthwhile to notice that answering that call, even though it was just reaching out, that single finger is presented as a genuine struggle for Kazuya. It's a bad situation. This is him fighting back. It may not seem like much, but it's definitely something, right? With the little arm strength he had and the one finger he had, he got her to stop. But that ironically reflects something that Kazuya, with just a single finger, had more power than he realized, right? He got lucky, but he had more power than he realized. While at the same time, it reflects how he didn't have authority over Ruka, but he knew who did. And I think that shows that Kazuya can do other things. He just doesn't realize it. This is in many ways the answer, and he doesn't even realize it. I genuinely struggle to Kazuya. It's a bad situation. This is him fighting back. It may not seem like much, but it's definitely something. We've seen how easily he gets stuck, how often he defaults to inaction. This is worse, but he fought through it. This is gross. I don't think this is growth. I don't think the Ruka situation is really going to end without help. I don't think it will end without, what the fuck is this? I'm going to move up here. I don't think it will end without Chizuru's help, specifically. And that means all of this stuff, the assault, the guilt, the feelings of helplessness, it's all going to come out at some point. I think this is what we're building up to with the date. This is going to be the big twist. The date might go off as planned and be wonderful, but at some pivotal moment, Kazuya cracks. The pressure will be too much, and the guilt will overwhelm him, and he'll tell Chizuru everything. I think instead of that, we're going to get rage. I ironically think what Reiji's going to give us is rage. Why? It will make Kazuya look like a bad person, because every time a man gets angry, frustrated, and lashes out, he is a bad person. Every time. And then when he doesn't express his emotions through anger, he is treated like a joke. This is a very common thing. A lot of people are like, open up, but then if you don't express it the way they want you to, you're treated like a joke. So I think this is going to be important to Kazuya's character and how he is going to be interpreted. Reiji, like we've said before, has been framing Kazuya as the villain, as the guy who's just running away. In reality, he's slowly but surely highlighting how he is in fact the victim. You know, how everybody's been treating him like fucking trash, including his family, and nobody's paying attention to that. And they're going to have to realize, you know, they're going to have to come to this realization that they are treating him like trash, and they're not treating him with the respect that they claim to have for him, you know? And I think that's what Reiji's building to. He is building to the family everyone around Kazuya recognizing how they have in many ways been the villains, whereas the normal public will always continue to interpret Kazuya as weird, as stupid, and a waste of time. No better scene reflects this than what we were shown with Mami in chapter 423. Right? How does Kazuya look in the picture that he got? Right? How does Kazuya look in the picture that he got? Right? He looks like a thug. Right? In the picture that Kazuya got for his license, he looks like a thug. He doesn't actually look cool. Even here, he looks like a thug. Listen to how the people react. This guy again, he's so loud. He's annoying. Most readers, most people who interact with Winter Girlfriend don't like Kazuya. They think he's a piece of shit. They think he's the villain. They don't like him. And ironically, what they don't realize is that is the problem. Because you're treating him like trash, you're ultimately pushing him to become the villain that you think he is when he's not a villain. It's literally how your environment shapes you. It's how in our intolerance we push people to become the things that we claim they are. In being intolerant of others, we make them into our villains. And that is literally what people are doing to Kazuya. We're being intolerant to him. We're making him the villain. Reishi is convincing you Kazuya is the villain, whereas he's also convincing you Chizuru is the villain. And it's this brilliant work together like this where so many people frame them as villains, frame them as horrible people when they're not. They're just normal fucking people. You guys are just assholes. You guys are just projecting all of your fucking problems onto these characters because they reflect back at you your own goddamn insecurities. Again, he's called a weirdo. Again, does he even stop mumbling? He's so weird. Instead of talking to him and being like, hey, what's wrong, dude? They judge him from the background. They listen in on what he's saying and they judge him instead of just talking to him. Instead of getting to know him for 2 fucking seconds, they want to judge him and be mad at him. A repeating pattern of how Kazuya is treated. In contrast, when you look at Mami, she's like a doll. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. And that's all they ever see. No one ever judges Mami or says anything about her. She never breaks pattern in front of other people. She always continues to be beautiful. Kazuya, in contrast, is always judged for how he appears and what he does because he's weird. He's that weirdo. Don't talk to that weirdo. You don't understand how much I see this every day where I am. It's not just a Japanese thing. It's absolutely something you see in America too. I'm not gonna say it's probably present in every other place, right? But it's the same thing, right? Every time someone acts a little weird, people immediately judge them and they treat them like crap, as she is. Oh, who are we kidding? Mami is weird. Mami is weird, and if she acted even half of the way Kazuya acted, people would think she's weird and then use that as justification to approach her and make her fucking uncomfortable. It's always like this. They would probably treat her in just an inverted way of Kazuya, like, "Oh, sweetie, you need some help? Shut the fuck up, bitch. Eat shit, bitch." I need to see Mami when she actually becomes her true self, like truly finds herself, because I want her to fucking cook people. I need Mami to fucking cook people and be justified in cooking people. I need to see Mami just accept her inner bitch. Just be like, you know what? You're gonna get wrecked today, motherfucker. I can't wait for that. Mami is the queen of cooking people, right? But so is Chizuru. Chizuru's actually pretty fucking good at it too, if she really wanted to. So I'm actually looking forward to Mami embracing this part of her. Just embrace the bitch. I think Mami has been fully defanged, so I'm not sure that's happening again 2:30. Oh no, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean 2:30. I meant scenes when she's surrounded by men. I meant scenes when she's surrounded by men and they treat her like crap. Mami lashing out at Chizuru in 2:30 was kind of sad and pathetic. I don't view that as Mami having fangs. I view that as Mami having already been defanged. 2:30 to me is not Mami lashing out. That is her wall breaking. That is her losing her cool. That is her all of her leverage, all of her power, it cracked. You're seeing the weak, pathetic little girl. That is what 2:30 is to me. You're seeing who she really is. You're not seeing Mami under control. That's anything but control. She cracked. That's how I read 2:30. Mommy cracked. That's not in control. I mean, when she is with stupid men who are trying to hit on her and do all these things, and she fucking uses them like the goddamn sheep they are. And she makes them look like goddamn fucking idiots. That mommy. I need more of that mommy. You know? I need that mommy defending someone. That would be peak. That's what I would like. I want mommy to use her bitch side to defend someone. Oh, what character progression. Oh, what character progression. I would love that. Right? Mommy using her authority and power to defend another person. Peak. Action. What character progression. That would be amazing for her character. Someone who used to use her skills to hurt others, to pretend like she's defending someone, actually defending another person. Peak. I would, especially if it's a woman. Especially if it's a woman. Or heck, even a man too. Both. Mommy defending a man and a woman? Goddamn. Oh, that would make my fucking day. That would make my fucking day. What character progression? What change? Oh, I can't wait. I expect that, and I'm looking forward to it. I expect that, and I am looking forward to it. I kind of want everyone to defend Kazuya. I think that would be peak. I kind of want everyone to defend Kazuya, and I think that would be peak. That would be an amazing moment in the story where Chizuru defends him and then everyone else defends him. I think that would be awesome. I think Kazuya for once needs to be fucking defended and cared for. Hissa, I'll go check. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna be right back. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be a while before Mommy pops back in. She'll come back soonish, but I don't know if she'll be here next chapter. BRB gang. BRB. All right, we back, gang. All right, we back, gang. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think we're gonna see that mommy that I'm describing for a while, like for a hot minute. We're not gonna see that for a while. Like to me, this is an arc about addressing the fact that characters are stagnating and not changing. So we actually have to see it's setting up for the characters to learn how to change. It's about building the foundation to allow them to change. So they're not going to change now. I think that's the thing. Is like I think people are thinking the characters are all going to change now. They're not going to change now. This is the arc setting up for them to learn how to change. So that's going to be the big thing. Now I did want to talk about the title of this chapter, The Passion and the Girlfriend. In particular, I think this is I think the passion titling is a red herring. I kind of think so. The passion titling is a red herring in my opinion because it's misdirecting. It's not accurate, right? It's not accurate to the chapter. If anything, you see Chizuru working on her passion, but would you really say this is like Ruka being passionate, right? Is this Ruka really being passionate about this? Or is she doing it because she's being ignored? Now, people have contributed this to obsession. I've always said mommy is obsession, Ruka is addiction. Obsession and addiction are not the same thing. That's kind of a mischaracterization a lot of people do. Obsession and addiction is not the same thing. You being obsessed with something, um, in some ways, like you can maybe like learn to stop. You being addicted to something is a little different. Like addiction even expresses itself in different ways. Like when you're addicted to something, you kind of can't stop. It's like like it literally like a drug. It's like your body instinctively wants that thing. You're addicted. You can't let it go. And I think Ruka is addicted. Whereas mommy, I would argue, is more obsessed. Mommy more so has like an obsession with Kazuya, whereas Ruka is like addicted to Kazuya. Sumi is what would you call Sumi? Well, we said Sumi's like enthralled, but Sumi's more in denial. I would argue Sumi's more in denial, right? So yeah, not too much left. How long have I been streaming? 3 hours. It's 6:09. I gotta go to sleep about 8 o'clock today. I've been trying to sleep earlier, so I gotta go to sleep by 8 o'clock. Is there anything we want to talk about? Oh, I could read my threads. That's what I can do. I can read my threads. So let's read my threads. I wrote a couple. I read this one yesterday. So if you guys are interested in this one, go read my go watch my earlier stream near the end. I read this near the very, very end. Like I can show you where it starts. Yeah, it's like right here. So around 3 hours and 38 minutes is where I read it. So if you're interested, still no 323 thread or 424. Correct. That's true. I'd like to write it at some point. I usually just try to find an angle of how I want to approach it before I write it. So if you're willing to give me some sort of angle in which I can approach it and like my brain just starts like working, I'll gladly approach it. But I do want to talk about it. I just don't know quite how to approach it. I wrote this thread, which is kind of a 424 thread, but not like literally that. I think for me, the way I could probably write it is if I understood, so yeah, in what way? For me, I think the way I can write it is if I understood two particular things. One, the meaning of the teaser, the entrance, and two, the meaning of passion. And how passion is like written and the intent behind it. If I can piece together what that means, I can write a thread. If I can piece together the conceptual thematic idea of the chapter, I can write a thread. But usually when I don't know how to go about piecing it together, I'm not sure how to approach writing a thread. I should have to update mommy analysis mentioned done. I should have the updated mommy analysis I mentioned done hopefully by the end of the month. By the way, I have some time now that the semester is over. Nice. Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it on chat. What passionate title in the Japanese version? What's passionate title in the what's the passionate title in the Japanese? I think this is it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think this is it. The entire title seems a little different than usual. Oh, wait, no. That's boyfriend. This is... Wait. Hold on. Sorry, give me a sec. Boyfriend. So that's why it's throwing me off. Okay. Okay, so 416. Let's compare to 416 really quick. I just got to check something just because I'm not understanding certain things. Okay. So this is just girlfriend. This is the passionate titling. Let me check like where. Let me check where Crumpy finds this stuff. It'll load. Oh my god, Mustard is trending again. You guys remember that song? Mustard! Okay, gshow.org. Okay, so let's go there really quick. gshow. .org. Okay. Let's check the passionate titling. Passionate, enthusiasm, zeal. Details. Passion, enthusiasm, zeal. Feeling. So the first kanji is feelings, emotion, passion, sympathy, circumstances, heat, temperature, fever, mana, passion. Ooh. Okay, so heat and emotion. Translating to enthusiasm and zeal and passion. Okay, so heat is in there. Mania, fever. Okay, so this is definitely connected to cats. And like the title is misleading. It's about being in heat. She's literally in heat. That's the titling. That's the misdirect. It's a bunny in heat. Okay, so passion is misdirection. It's about being in heat, right? You're in mania, which is important because of the direct reference to cats. So that's okay. I think that's a good way to start. And then the entrance. How do we work with the entrance, right? It's that Ruka's already inside. The entrance can't bar her out. But how does that connect to Chizuru? We see the studio. We see a cat looking at another cat. How does entrance work? So I'm starting to get something. So it's like heat, fever, and mania is kind of the core part of passion, right? Enthusiasm, zeal. How does Kazuya describe it? Does he use the same kanji? So when he says she's so passionate, does he use the same kanji of heat and passion? So round here. Yeah. He uses this. Okay, so this is exactly the same. He uses the kanji for emotion and heat. Yeah, so that's where Kazuya says it. In contrast, Chizuru is doing a play about cats who are in heat in the moon. If she's actually doing cats. Maybe entrance is the reverse of what Ruka said last time, of how she doesn't like the entrance, yet in this chapter she's at the entrance. She's at the entrance leaving. She's forced to leave. I don't know. We got to keep workshopping that. I don't know. We got to keep workshopping that. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We got to keep workshopping it. We got some start. So the Heat and Mania, which is directly connected to the Cats play, which is again, by the way, like I found some stuff about Cats that no one talked about. I found some parallels and like foreshadowing for Cats that no one talked about, and that's kind of surprising for me. Like there's a lot of things I caught no one was talking about. So first off, the way Chizuru is dressed in chapter 424 is the exact same as volume 45. It's not exactly the same, like we said last time. Her shirt says love and peace. Here it says that specific cat who is like, she's like in a studio of a cat that like brings good luck. The love and peace on Chizuru's shirt, like I mentioned last time, is a direct reference to chapter 188. Let me pull it up. Chapter 188, when Chizuru first avoids Kazuya. And what's interesting about that, why does Chizuru first avoid Kazuya? Right, who remembers, why does Chizuru first avoid Kazuya before Hawaiians? That's right, it's because of Ruka. That's right, it's because Ruka did this exact thing to Chizuru. That's right, this is because Ruka did the exact thing she did to Kazuya right now to Chizuru by busting into her home, taking her using rental against her, throwing a condom wrapper at her, and then treating her like crap and saying she already had sex with Kazuya, and now she's literally trying to have sex with Kazuya. It flipped things on their head, right? Flipped it on their head. So now it's, instead of Kazuya having this thing of love and peace, Chizuru does, right? Chizuru does. So maybe Kazuya is avoiding her. Maybe it's foreshadowing Kazuya is avoiding her, right? Rather than her avoiding him. Let's see. Notice how she's locking in chapter 40, in volume 45. So look at how she's locking in here. But looks like she's having fun in chapter 424. She's acting. This isn't easy since this may be connected to the Cats musical play. My only interaction with Cass is being stun locked for like 25 minutes by the movie before I left. I heard the movie is actually terrible. I have a friend who's actually seen Cats, and I heard the movie's terrible. So the movie is not a good basis. The actual play, while a bit nonsensical, is really fun. So the actual musical, while a bit nonsensical, is kind of fun. And Cats is like pretty big. Like it's pretty popular. A lot of people like it. But like I heard the movie's terrible. So let's continue. Chizuru is acting like a cat in front of people, and looking like this is pretty tough. Imagine really getting into character, not laughing or feeling embarrassed. Imagine rolling around, swinging your fucking ass like Chizuru is, licking yourself while your staff and director watch. That's very hard, not even mentioning an audience. Fittingly then, do we see Cass just standing there, one staring at Peter, as if, so I'm referring to this, right? Fittingly then, do we see Cass just standing there, one staring at Peter, as if copying him, while others just sit and look. So this cat's like, feels like he's approaching Peter. You know how cats like look at another cat and he's like approaching him? That's what feels like what this is happening. This nods back to chapter 61, where we first met Peter, and Chizuru relates to him and even meows, nya, at him, which took place at night, right? So if you guys remember this, we showed this before. Chizuru meows at him, and right here she says, "Why are you just sitting there? Don't tell me you feel lonely too." She makes the same exact face and meows at him. This all seems to be connected to Cats, the musical. I mentioned in an earlier post how there's a Cats theater group in Japan called Shiki, the Shiki Theater Group. Chizuru is wearing a Menaki Neko Theater Group shirt in volume 45. The Cats musical is considered fun but weird, which matches the theme of this chapter and Chizuru's own words. I've become weird. And Mr. Fish in this chapter calls the chapter, says this story is a weird rom-com. All right. With confidence being a massive key in being successful in this musical, if that isn't obvious, lol. Cats also takes place under the full moon, hence the active cats, because they're in heat. This is an entire motif of moons in the story, whether it be the moon in chapter 397, where Chizuru looks forward to July 11th, while she's wearing moon clothes, right? She's wearing moon clothes, and the chapter is literally called The Moon and the Girlfriend. Chizuru is trying to reach a full moon instead of just accepting the crescent moon on top of her, right? She's misunderstanding things. So she's trying to reach a full moon. Something you literally see right here in the ending where she's holding a script for a play, right? So this is from season 5. She's holding the script for a play and she's reaching for a full moon. Kazuya compares Chizuru's feelings, right here. Kazuya compares Chizuru's feelings, not that the volume of the moon, her feelings for me. Right, so the volume of the moon reflects her feelings for him. She's and if you guys don't know anything in this entire in Cats, the whole idea, the plot that actually exists is that basically these cats are like trying to be reincarnated thanks to the moon, right? So Kazuya mentioning the full moon, her reaching the full moon in the anime, cats and rabbits connected to the moon. So cats have like a connection to the moon. There's a story in Japanese folklore about a moon that beats mochi. Sorry, about a rabbit on the moon that beats mochi. Cats directly have a connection to the moon. A moon landing visual in the date arc, right? So there's literally this moon landing visual on the date arc, and Chizuru puts a K there. You don't know if it's Kanokari or Kazuya. The cat's musical plot is about a cat being chosen under the moonlight to be reborn, which also somewhat aligns with Chizuru changing herself, transforming. She also has a cat motif. Now, I want you to pay really close attention to this. Look at Chizuru's umbrella. What do you see? Okay, let's look at Chizuru's umbrella. It has music notes, and cats walking on the music. It has a piano, literally a musical. It makes you think of a fucking musical. Then you have stars in the sky, right? You see an umbrella with music, piano, dancing cats, and the night sky. Foreshadowing much? Right? This is how the stage looks for cats. Does this not look like Chizuru's umbrella? I'm sorry, right now I want to face that person wholeheartedly. She's literally facing the moon when she says this. The moon is like right behind her, and there's literally moon symbols on her. Now, this is speculation. We don't know if this is for a fact the cat musical, but it makes too much sense. It fits far too well, and it would explain the secrecy around it, why it isn't mentioned. We thought it was a normal play, but it was a musical. It being so different is important. Look at how this cat is reaching for the moon. Look at how Chizuru is reaching for the fucking moon. Okay. Chizuru might be doing this for many reasons, becoming more confident, finding her love, getting in touch with who she is, or even growing. Yet this tonal whiplash subverts our expectations of a pretty big role. No, but it is big and it is important no matter how it looks, right? Chizuru told Minnie this is a pretty big role from a director she's always wanted to act for. I received an urgent call. Rehearsal starts this weekend, right? When Chizuru first tells Minnie about this, what do you see on her hair? A crescent moon. It feels like Reiji was like spelling it out for us the whole time. I can try discussing this later when I have more thoughts. I've never seen Cats, but I know of it, read about it. A fun musical, but a weird one with a strange plot that's kind of all about meeting all the cats, but might not have a full direction besides being reborn. Kind of like a parody, which is really fitting because the cats are all like in heat and kind of crazy and weird, and there's no sense of plot or direction. This somewhat matches the current story, which feels intentionally directionless, but with the promise of change on July 11th, that it will be reborn under the full moon. Kanokari almost parodying Kanokari almost parodying and commenting on relationships and rom-coms by subverting roles as well as commenting on them. Right? Literally, we're subverting and flipping roles. It's literally looking like a traditional rom-coms, but it fucking isn't, and it feels like it doesn't make any sense. How many times have you been to Reddit and people keep saying shit doesn't make sense? How many times have you been to Reddit and people kept saying shit doesn't make sense? Exactly like the Cats musical. Okay? There is a parallel between Chizuru's bunny cover and Ruka's. They look really darn similar, with 311 being Chizuru cosplaying, as we see Chizuru acting like a cat, while Ruka is literally a bunny of sorts, a bunny in heat. 424 is called Passion and Girlfriend, so it's interesting to contrast that with Chizuru's passion for acting and Ruka's passion for Kazuya, as well as desire. With rabbits very much connected to desire, just as Chizuru is dressed as a bunny girl, while Kazuya was a black cat mascot. Right? Kazuya was a black cat mascot, while Chizuru was a bunny girl. When Chizuru told Kazuya it was her first time dressing up as a bunny girl, in the bunny girl outfit, it intentionally sounded like a sexual innuendo from Reiji, not Chizuru. And what does Ruka want, right? When Chizuru says it, she says, "This is my first time," right? Look at Kazuya freaking the fuck out. And what does Ruka want? To have her first time with Kazuya. It's far too coincidental. Chizuru is also perfect on camera, right? Chizuru looks very attractive on camera. What does Kazuya say? She's so pretty. Damn, she's super pretty. As she literally looks like she's looking at him, and he's enchanted by her. He's literally a cat in heat. Chizuru gets jealous when she asks if the cosplayer he helped was cute, not directly telling him she's jealous and wants to be called cute. So Kazuya doesn't get it and answers honestly. This would tie to Chizuru being more honest about her feelings with Kazuya, what she desires. So Chizuru letting go of shame and guilt, moving forward and not looking back, might be the point. She doesn't mind if she looks this way if it means she truly evolves, not just as an actress, but as a person. Go to the next level, not let her life be controlled by shame and fear. Chizuru is letting go of the past, of what's holding her back. She's selling her old home and moving on. Letting go of the burden she doesn't need in order to look forward to her future. Ruka, in contrast, clings to the past. Kazuya to Chizuru's image, to Mizuhara. They aren't changing. Kazuya looks like he's changing. He's changed his hair, he's working out, he's job searching, he's doing internships, he's getting his license, but it's all a disguise for his lack of change. It's surface level change, not true change that lets go of his image like Chizuru. This directly connects to Hawaiians, as it is about an image being shattered, how characters don't look how we want them to anymore. Chizuru doesn't care about that anymore. She wants to let go of this image, something she was scared of before. Kazuya must accept his cracking screen. So, like, look at Chizuru here, and then when we turn the page, this dude coughs, and Chizuru freaks out and hides her thing, and she keeps trying to change what it looks like because she doesn't want to be judged. She's afraid of being judged. And this is Chizuru learning to let go of this fear of how others perceive her. Kazuya's broken phone visually conveys this. His image is broken. He must accept that to get a new one. He can't keep doubling down on something that is broken. If he does, he will never change or find his true self, his lost identity. He doesn't need to look cool. He needs help and love. Right, and this how this connects to the infamous pool scene. I talked about this. The image of the characters is now shattered in the end of the episode, as it was shattered in the beginning. As Chizuru looks at Kazuya in shock, as if alluding to the fact that she saw what we did, and Kazuya and her will be hated now by everyone. All right. I talked about how these two chapters are inverted forms of whiplash. We talked about the cat's play. Oh yeah, I remember this. When I found out that 22 is associated with Chizuru because it's heavily associated with cat meow puns, and Cat Day is on February 22nd. This also connects to Minnie, who also has a cat motif, with both of them living in room 204 and 202 respectively. Minnie even has the number 8 in her name. So literally, like I said before, the cat meow pun is nyan nyan. And when you say nyan nyan in Japanese, it has a connotation of sexual, like intercourse or cuddling. So the words in the opening page are "Come what may, I love you." This is a play on the Japanese phrase that sounds like horns on a rabbit, which doesn't make much sense, so it's read as "Come what may." What's interesting though is the teaser for 425, initial load or first burden. Isn't the timing of those words oddly fitting, as it's implying something bad is coming, but they will always love each other? This matches the final page's words. Kazuya survived the storm, and Cat Mizuhara is in a great mood. But isn't rain coming if a cat washes its face? So this comes from a Japanese expression meaning rain is coming. But another Japanese expression is after the rain, the ground hardens, meaning that after bad times we get stronger. Ruka is those hard times. So the cover line about "come what may" is Ruka, meaning this is a kind of end, if you will. Okay. This is also the cat approaching Peter. I talked to a friend and they mentioned that how it's like Kazuya approaching Chizuru. It even has a black brown spot. Lastly, the words nyan nyan actually have an association with sex, so Chizuru saying them is a subtle nod to what Ruka did, sexual intercourse, making out. This is an old phrase from the 1980s that isn't common anymore, and yet the placement of meows is far too well timed to be coincidence, considering the many adult themes and Ruka forcing herself on Kazuya and touching his privates. Horny stuff is a massive subject right now. Just as the spotted cat is looking at Peter and we hear nyan nyan, Ruka was watching and waiting for Kazuya to jump him. Yet Chizuru does not see any of this, for her eyes are closed. She can't see. It's both a nod to Ruka and possible foreshadowing for future approaching events. It's an interesting note as well. The teaser for next time is apparently a strict medical term according to Japanese readers. If it refers to the administration of a dose larger than the standard maintenance dose during the initial phase of treatment, specifically the first dose. I had this like whole theory about Ruka like not looking okay, but I don't think that's that, you know? I don't think that's cat. One thing you can notice upon rereading is that Ruka is kind of struggling and almost forcing herself with Kazuya in the incident chapters. There's a weird desperation that's a little odd with her. Stuff that almost feels like an addiction. It feels like there's more with Ruka, maybe. All right, and the reason I mention this is specifically this, where she specifically like pans to Ruka's leg and like showing her like clenching her leg, and that's a little weird. It's like why? Why is Reiji showing that? That's a little strange. We talked about this one. We talked about this one, and then I think this one. We'll read this. How long is this? Hope it's not too long. Okay, it's kind of short, sweet. Right. So the end of 423 and 424 of Rent a Girlfriend are inverted forms of intentional tonal whiplash. Whereas 423 is focused completely on Kazuya's date plan, only for Ruka to show up and crash it. 424 is mostly serious, only for us to see Chizuru in the end acting like a cat. Again, what the fuck? Like Mr. Fish said, this is a weird rom-com, but that's the point. This chapter is meant to be weird. From Kazuya's relationship with Ruka appearing normal when it's anything but, Ruka waiting in front of the door talking like an addict, or Chizuru doing weird acting. While Chizuru's acting doesn't look like real acting, it's far more mature than it appears. Ruka, in contrast, acts mature, but she's nothing more than a kid who has to listen to her mom. Kazuya is perfectly in the middle, neither an adult nor a child, for a child controls him. Okay, and I think that's roughly it. Maybe he's waiting at the entrance for 2 hours. What about Ruka waiting at the entrance for 2 hours? My only interactions with oh yeah, we already read this one. Doesn't an F mean a 6 in the studio? What if Chizuru messes up and gets an F because of that, like in school, where an F is a bad grade, basically a 6? That would also make sense considering a job loss in the next chapter. What the fuck? You just spoiled the next chapter for me. What the fuck? You just spoiled the next chapter for me. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. So there's no spoilers yet? Then how did he... Then what's he talking about with job loss? Then what's he talking about with job loss? I removed that comment because I don't know what that means. Why is he talking about job loss? He's not lying. Jorg doesn't lie. He just speaks German. Because I was just thinking about school and when F could be like in school. But why did you talk about job loss in the next chapter? There's no indication of a job loss in the next chapter. Nothing has told us that. That's why I'm confused. Okay, let's just not worry about that. If there's no job thing next time, cool. If there is some sort of job thing next time, I don't know how you spoiled me without fucking anything, but somehow you spoiled me. Because of the workload, it sounds like something might get messed up, you know. Workload is not, no, it's a medical term. It's not workload. The term is not workload. It's initial load. It's a medical term. It's not a work term. All right. I see. Then I got it wrong. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna kill someone. I'm not going to snap. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Dude, I was gonna snap. If I was spoiled, I was gonna get so fucking mad. If I was spoiled, I was gonna get so fucking mad. I don't want to be spoiled, man. I'm sick of spoilers. I'm sick of that addiction. Spoilers are an addiction. What's an F and a 6? I don't get that. What is an F and a 6? I don't get that. What is the association with F and a 6? I don't get that. I've never associated F with 6. I don't get that. Is that like a thing? Why F and 6? I don't get that. Is the next chapter 425? Why is there a 6? What's the 6 for? Regardless, it's getting late. I gotta go relax and get ready for bed. Well, I'll see if I'll stream tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, I'll probably play Kingdom Hearts. I'll probably start by like making the thumbnail and then I might play Kingdom Hearts. I just thought about it as a school grade. Like 6th grade. I don't know. F could be connected to feline. So like a cat. Could be female. I don't know. Could be anything. Or it could be failing. Who knows? Japan doesn't do scores like that. They just put a score. If I recall, they just put like a out of 100. They don't give you like a grade. If I recall, they just literally give you scores. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's like the mediocre studio. I don't know. It was just a thought. I don't know. Okay. Anywho, I'm gonna call it here. It's getting a little late for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I might stream Kingdom Hearts. We'll continue with Kingdom Hearts. I don't know where we left off. And we'll maybe go from there. I don't know. I might not stream tomorrow. There's no guarantee, but I'm just letting you know if I do stream, it'll probably be Kingdom Hearts. And then Tuesday, I should have Tuesday off so we can do like a full stream for 425. So yeah. Either see you guys tomorrow or see you guys Tuesday. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this was fun. I'll see if I'll write something on Twitter. I got a few threads I got to work on. I don't know which one I'll start with, but I'll see. Have a good night. See you guys later. Take care. Thank you if you enjoyed the stream and all that fun shenanigans. I'm gonna close some stuff up.